Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Worcester Council Theater 3000. I'm Bryan O'Donnell here with Bill Shaner and Brendan Melican. Today, we are going to be covering Thursday night's school committee meeting, as there is no city council meeting tonight. Nobody wants to twerk anymore. So we'll be playing some Fortnite and covering the... I mean, I guess it was a little crazy, the meeting. I mean, they've all been crazy since this council came into effect.
This one's worth watching because it's the new superintendent's first self-evaluation, which is followed up by Maureen Bienda being just terrible, just awful to her. No, wow. Right. Yeah. So it's a really funny sort of contrast of competence where I think it's going to be worth watching the entirety of Superintendent Monterez's self-evaluation because it's very like informative and professional. And then the questions that Maureen asks are just like, woof. And before that, we have some very delightful public comment. Fred Nathan makes an appearance.
Thank goodness.
Accuses Neil McNamara of political witchcraft, which is great. Cambridge Bear's doing very good. Bear is no longer sequestered to the office. Bear is a free-range cat now, so I don't think he'll be making quite as much of a disturbance as he has in meetings past, but we'll see.
Damn.
See, yeah. I don't know. Bryan, how you doing?
It's been a week.
Yeah. Yeah. What happened since we were last together?
A lot.
The DNC, they saw that Trump dodged a bullet, and they said we better do that too, and so they did. Which is, great. better than it was.
Yeah, I saw a video that like Kamala's own social media team put out that was like a brat summer Kamala Harris for president video, and I was like, God damn, this is like going to be like, if you could measure stupidity in terms of radioactivity, this summer is going to reach like Chernobyl.
You know what the fucking insane thing though? It's going to work.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to work. It's not even a question anymore. Like everyone's.
Yeah. Great.
Everyone's throwing a hissy fit. Like all of like the right wing like party apparatchiks of the Republican Party are all like, oh, she fucks too much. Right? It's like,
okay, stop making her fucking cool, you idiot.
Yeah, right, yeah. Oh, sorry.
She was hot enough to date Montel Williams at the height of his career. That's like,
yeah, right, yeah.
An awful person.
She gets it in too much, and she has too much fun.
She's too charming and likes records too much. Like, you fucking morons.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, listen, it's none of this stuff is ever going to be ideal ever again. Realistically, we're like no one else cooler. It was going to be the nominee if Joe Biden gets out, and the best thing we can hope for is the best possible VP candidate. I'm still hoping for Wes Moore. I don't think it's going to happen, but
no,
he would have been my choice as the candidate. But like, listen, I think we need to take some time to acknowledge that we did this we at least got rid of Joe Biden. Like, for as much as people want to say the thing about like, oh, it was the pod save guys being assholes. Like, all those people that were being mean to Joe Biden were only doing it because everyone else, the rest of us, were like, fuck that guy. And that's a win in my book, as far as national politics are concerned in 2024. Like we at least did that. And none of these people, I mean, like that's the thing. Like you talk about like Nancy Pelosi, you talk about like the billionaires. Do you think they have any desire to make like a startling change like this? Do you think they have any desire to like upset the apple cart in any way, shape, or form?
Nope.
No, it literally was just he was not going to win. There was no chance he was going to win, and the reason why they finally saw that is because 60% of us were like, "Well, I don't even know if I'm going to fucking vote."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like that's good. That's good that this worked out this way. Not ideal. It's never going to be ideal. Um, but we should take our wins where we can, and trolling worked
Trolling
for once
work.
in lives. Trolling worked.
You know where
Uh,
else trolling is going to work? This recent chatter about JD Vance being completely juiceless after
oh yeah,
his weird little diet Mountain
yeah,
Dew comment.
Mm.
That was really fucking cool.
yeah. It's gonna be so. It's just gonna get so much more entertaining now. Like yeah, now they're like the stories today are all. Hey, there you go. Look at that. Today's looking up. We got a victory royale.
We got a victory royale in the chat already.
Yeah. It's gonna get so funny. They're all saying that they want to replace him. It's just gonna be amazing.
It really is like obviously hindsight 2020 whatever. I mean, it's the most transparent thing in the world, right? Like the RNC made it very very clear that JD Vance was their pick if like they won the race. Like they knew Biden was staying in, they were going with Vance because he brought all the Peter Thiel PayPal mafia money, and that's all they needed was just money to sail through the finish line. And then it's like 2 days later, it's we changed our mind. It's like, how'd you guys get duped on that one? There were like no Russian bots involved with that decision making.
I also I love that the whole thing they're doing right now, which obviously doesn't hold any water in any strict legal sense, but saying like, oh, you can't just switch her out, like switch her in, like you're disregarding the results of the primary. Like JD Vance was not voted for in the primary. Like,
right.
He was not named in any of the primary contests. Like you guys didn't follow the rules that you said were important. Do you think that anyone will ever point that out besides me right now?
No, of course not. It's like fuck. Like, there's no rules.
Right.
This whole thing about how they're gonna like disqualify Kamala on like some sort of rules change or whatever is crazy too, because that's just obviously not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. Like,
and if they somehow did, then it doesn't. We're past the point then where like the laws matter. Like then we're into the territory
of overthrowing
of like
the nation is suddenly all about the fucking rules.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that's what I mean. Like obviously they're gonna do, but like if that happens, then we can't sit there and just be like that's actually against the rules. Like they know, like that's why they did it. So like yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting, but either way, like yeah, people saying that like, oh well, I'm not sure if that's legally allowed is the reason not to switch to her is so like innocent and naive. Like you can't worry about that part of it. You can worry about whether or not it would work, but you can't worry about whether or not they'll agree to it because they're not. It doesn't matter. Like they're not going to agree to anything. It's going to be a fight no matter what. So.
I do appreciate the pains taken to compare this to January 6th.
Yeah,
it's like no, it's not. I mean, I would love personally for there to be a Democratic version of January 6th. I think that would be perfect.
Yeah,
and I think that if Trump wins, we might be looking at a situation where something like that happens. But like this is not it. I'm holding out hopes.
Right. This is yeah.
Democratic Party January 6th type incident. Because I think that would just be perfect. But no, it looks like the Democrats are going to walk with this one. So That's great. That's great for
Sorry, official gamer of Twitch.
That's great for everyone, but official gamer of Twitch and
yeah. Hey, congrats on creating your account 2 hours ago. Official gamer of Twitch. We're proud.
It wasn't official until 2 hours ago, Brian.
How did this official gamer become official in 2 hours? That's kind of make me raise some questions here.
Yeah. We're losing you a little bit, Brian.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Nice. Anyway, official gamer of Twitch, stick around. We love you. You're awesome, and everything you say is like better and funnier than what we're saying. So like keep commenting. Tell your friends to watch too. Anyway, turning to Worcester news. Do you have any friends, official gamer of Twitch? Is that going to be a struggle? But if you do, like maybe even one or two, just have them come watch, Turning to Worcester news, we have to talk about the video that's on everyone's top of mind. Yeah, welcome to the chat, Maureen Vignenda, official game. Maureen Vignenda doesn't know what a gamer is, so I can't
or Twitch.
Or Twitch, right. But you don't want to have. Oh man.
Hold up, cool. Bill. I got to look up polycule. Give me a second.
Polycule is what happens when you do shit. I can't remember. What is his name? Sandbagging Freed.
Romantic or intimate connections. I see.
Right.
I thought it's when you upgrade a polyworld.
No. A polycule is when you are into effective altruism, live in Silicon Valley, and defraud millions of people with your weird attempt to legitimize Bitcoin as a standard currency. You have to be in a polycule to do that. Sam Bankman-Fried and that weird girl from Newton are the two most famous polycule members.
Not to be confused with the weird girl from Haviland Terrace who eats her own asphalt. That's different.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Did you get a haircut, Travis?
I did.
Look at that.
Oh, Travis, looking suave.
I shaved the beard.
You can come in on the polycule now.
Oh, fuck yeah. I just want to sell this dude on my NFT.
Oh, no. I hate it when it comes up. Every time. I hate it so much. All right. I have this locked in. I have this loaded. I'm going to add to the stage. We're going to watch this a couple times.
5 minutes. In Coast Pond, Eli's at the beach. So there's a couple in a green kayak fornicating. We will go advise. 5 minutes.
One more time.
In Coast Pond, Eli's at the beach and he's upset there's a couple in a green kayak fornicating.
So,
we will go advise.
I love the cop being like, "We will go." We super want to deal with this, but apparently, what we learned from this is that a couple of days ago, there were a couple that were fornicating in a kayak. It has to be BYOK. If you fornicate in a city-provided kayak, that is
disgusting.
That's just irresponsible, honestly. And yes, this is Attel's new program. Actually, Attel had a funny. Attel was unaware of this fornicating incident happening, which she should be because she's normal, and doesn't pay attention to all of these things. But it did lead to this very funny moment where she posted this post fornication police scanner, where she said, "I cannot express how excited I am for this program to finally be live and free. I hope you all will use this program and also make use of Coe's Beach. thank you to the YMCA for funding it. And it is about kayak safety at Coast Pond. You'll notice here it says kayaking is available from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Anyone aged 16 and over can take out a single kayak. Don't we know it? Libertarians especially will know that to be true. Anyone under 16 must take out a double kayak and be accompanied by an adult. Imagine if there was just a bullet point down here that was like, and also, by the way, no fucking in the kayaks, right? No kayak sexual intercourse, please. So that was a funny thing that happened this week. Another funny thing that happened this week is 53 people arrested for a car meetup. Brendan, did you see this?
I did. Pretty fantastic. Not the arrest, just I like that we have shit going on.
So there's a video of like an Instagram story posted on Reddit.
I would also argue best use of free fares on the WRTA yet this summer.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Like, I want to know like what the relationship is here between the WRTA and the city of Worcester that they can
Hey, yo, I never got that treatment when I got arrested. That's the smallpox.
Let's watch that one more time. So apparently 53 adults and 1 child were arrested for this.
Hey, yo, I never got that treatment when I got arrested.
I have a feeling that none of these charges are going to stick.
No.
That's the smallpox.
But like, I do like how you can see in the crowd that the vibe is just pure partying. Like they're just like, oh, this is an extension of the party where now we are all zip tied in the back of WRTA bus and we're going to keep having our weird little, like, I assume Subaru car show party.
Bill, are you aware of any, have we actually had any issues in the city with meets?
I mean, like, they happen.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, I know we all get to see like TikTok videos of like people getting fucking taken out, like entire crowds getting taken out by drifting Celicas and whatever. I can't imagine ours are actually anything like that at all. It's probably just people around being boring.
Right. I mean, like, I'll go through the Reddit comments here, but most of them are just like, oh, they go to the playground and they blast shitty music. It's like we haven't had like an incident where anybody's gotten hurt or anything.
Right.
It's like, oh, about a month ago, someone had their music loud enough I could hear it from the other end of Quinsigamond. Cops came, music stopped, cops left. Music started right back up. It's just like they're loud, you know? And the Reddit thread's pretty gross, honestly. It's just a bunch of people rooting for the cops.
Yeah.
Which is to be expected.
I'm eating pretzels, Jessica. Nothing exciting.
If they did claim there were gunshots, I didn't see any of them. Or I didn't see any claims of gunshots, but
I think we just assume at this point that the police are going to just claim that there's gunshots everywhere.
Well, I mean, like if that was in a shot spotter sensor area and some of those cars have mufflers that like backfire, then the cops get to call those gunshots because that's what we tolerate in the city. So, whatever. But anyway, I guess we should turn to our main event here and just start playing the school committee meeting from.
Did we lose Bryan forever?
I don't know if we lost Bryan forever, but we lost him for now.
He said he'd be back.
And that's all that matters. That'd be so sick if he just like had one computer hiccup and it was like, okay, I'm not coming back on.
I just fucking quit.
Yeah.
Enough of
Yeah,
this shit.
we never heard from him again, which honestly, respect. I mean, like, it is crazy that we do this. And this is a little bit of a different wrinkle here because we've never like streamed.
Bill, I think we just lost your audio.
But we're doing this because Thursday streams are like tough for us to do. Doing this once a week is kind of enough, and no one wanted to watch this meeting live on Thursday, which is understandable, I think, because this meeting was torture. Because I listened to the whole thing live, but I was making dinner and stuff, so it wasn't so bad. But it has some really funny moments. So I'm going to pull it up now and start sharing it. You guys all get to watch the ad that I have to watch. Oh, here we go.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Worcester School Committee meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and National Anthem.
Fred Nathan was particularly good here.
I'm glad that he's taken an interest in our city schools.
Aye.
Joe was very, very snippy with Banyana during this meeting. But honestly, Banyana deserved it. The way that she talked to our new superintendent was sort of beyond the pale. I can't listen to this. That song sucks, frankly. The national anthem is a really, really good.
Lots of highs, man. Lots of highs.
Ooh. I don't think we did, but that's beyond my pay grade. We need somebody else to answer that. I don't know what our sub is, but subscribe. Please. Hey!
That's where Bryan
There's a
is.
boy.
He disappeared just so he could raise prices on everybody and not have to take responsibility for it. Thanks, Bryan.
Yeah, the way Twitch does subscriptions is really weird and sort of different from other new media. As far as I know, we have no control over how that works. And it's only a percentage that comes to us. It's kind of like a lie in terms of subscriptions, kind of.
Like Internet Amway.
Substack subscriptions, it's pretty clear. They take 10% off the top, which is still a ripoff, but it's clear. The Twitch world is a little bit more nebulous than that. But thank you for subscribing. It helps us pay for our insane overhead costs at this program, of which there are many. And almost all of them Brendan incurs for some reason. I mean, the receipts that he sends us are just, how do you justify that?
Here. Member Guardiola?
Here.
Vice Chair Johnson?
Yeah.
Member McCullough?
Here.
Member Mailman?
Here.
Member Roy?
Here.
Mayor Petty?
Here. Let's start with the consent agenda. E. Roll call.
Member Alvarez?
Yes.
Member Biancaria?
Yes.
I wish I could.
Member Benendo?
Yes.
Member Guardiola?
Yes.
Vice Chair Johnson?
Yes.
Member Mailman?
Yes.
Member McCullough?
Yes.
Member Roy?
Yes.
Oh, Brendan, on the way to the grocery store yesterday, I took down a Patriot Front
for reconsideration.
Oh, yeah?
up on Lake Ave.
Nice.
It was an interesting one. It said, no more foreign wars. It wasn't like Reclaim America or Strong Families. It's a different, sort of new messaging.
Yeah.
High School,
Which I'm still trying to suss out.
Familia,
I'm a
Christian King. So take a
Kind of
roll call
confused by
on whether you want to reconsider this.
that
So
take,
yes
to be
vote would
honest with you.
reconsider it, and no vote would not.
Yeah, I searched Patriot Front's website
Member
for
Alvarez?
that phrase
Yes.
and couldn't find
Member
anything.
Vancuria?
No.
Well,
Member
it's just,
Pineda?
it's become like a
No.
pretty common
Guardiola?
right-wing talking
Yes.
point now, like foreign
Vice Chair
wars.
Johnson?
And
No.
like, so I mean, I
Member
totally,
Melican?
I'm not naive to
Yes.
the way our foreign policy
Member
works and that we
McCullough?
fund militaries all around the
No.
world. But that
Member
strikes me as a
Roy?
very different
No.
conversation than
Mayor
like
Petty?
actual wars where you have boots on ground, like 18-year-olds from the United States, like
If you don't
dying, like
public
sort of thing.
comment, a member of the
Right.
public
And they're
may
two
address
completely
the
different
committee again,
conversations, but
item
I'm not
before the
sure
committee
where,
for 2 minutes.
I don't know when and how, like that became
minutes.
a conversation
What's your
for
name
the,
and
a talking
item
point
number?
for the American right over the last year or so. Just a
Yeah,
really
it-
odd one to me.
That the
Oh,
reconsider vote went
This
the
is
way
great.
it did.
Fred Nathan's
It was
comments here.
obvious to me that there are sour grapes out here that wanted to reconsider the naming of that gym because for whatever political motivation reasons go through their head, I guess it is what it is. When you had to defund the police and all that, so many people, things unfortunately get taken that way. But I was happy that the vote went the way it did just now instead of the normal 6-3. I commend the people who voted appropriately here now. But before I cut away, I just want to say, in this landscape of political witchcraft and everything else we're seeing around this country, I think it is a political disservice for whoever asked the Worcester patch to go after Maureen.
Do you have
Bernetta.
an item on the agenda? We're not going to do that.
Yes,
Sorry.
but I still.
No,
I
you're rather
got my
bother.
2
I'm
minutes.
sorry. You have 2 minutes on
Well,
items
I
on the
think I made
agenda.
my point.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
What a funny little
Anybody
man.
else?
Fred there was, of course, referencing Neil's fantastic
What's your
story
names to your residence and item number?
about how Maureen Bernetta is essentially
My name
double
is Heather
dipping.
Prunier.
Mm.
I live in Worcester.
Oh,
I
and
would
this
like
is
to
this
say
is
that
Heather
I
Prunier.
know that, sorry, item K.
Yeah,
right?
as long as it's on the
A
agenda.
very
Okay.
jarring back to
The
back
superintendent's review. I'd like to speak to
public comment.
the difference in the way that I have been treated. I'm sure that everyone's well aware of the article that came out in October. And I would like to say that the way that I have been treated as a resident of the city, as a parent of children who attend Worcester Public Schools, and an engaged member of the community, that this administration has treated me and everyone involved in this incredibly differently than I was treated when I was a child, and incredibly differently than I was treated by the previous administration, who didn't have time to respond to how I felt unsafe in the schools. So I would just like to say that I think that this administration is doing an incredible job listening to parents, listening to students, listening to teachers. I think that it's unfortunate that there are some members of the school committee who are incredibly petty and trying to bring up every single thing that they can think of to make it more difficult, an already difficult job more difficult. But I would just like to say thank you to the administration on behalf of myself, on behalf of my children, on behalf of survivors, and that I know that there are plenty of other parents who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, but I was in touch with, who have felt heard and seen by this administration and who appreciate the fact that our complaints, that our everything does not fall on deaf ears. So thank you.
Thank you. What's your name? Say your residence and item number.
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Dina Tedeschi, and I reside at 25 Morgan Street in Worcester. Among many things, I am most importantly a parent of a South High 24 graduate and a soon-to-be 7th grader at GSA at Sullivan Middle School. My comments are in reference to agenda item in K, ROS 4-10, report of the superintendent. For over 13 years, I've been heavily involved in and paying attention to activities, engagement, and opportunities.
So Heather is in
for
this
parents,
woman's
students,
comment
and families in and around my
We're
children's
like
schools.
the start of
I've never felt more welcome and
just
included
constant dunking
than
on
in the last few
Binyenda, which
years
happens for like the next 20 minutes.
since Dr. Monaras became superintendent. Unequivocally, her listening tours, family and community engagement roundtables, and general action to attend and support meetings for students, parents, and others have been appreciated and a breath of fresh air, giving more families a voice and a seat at the table. The number of families and students in attendance at last fall's Know Your School Nights, from my experience, was unprecedented. The decrease in the number of suspensions in an elementary school setting is staggering, with 576 in school year 19 and only about 92 in school year 24. That first number is like an entire large elementary school, plus being absent on any given day. More students are being supported to help them stay in school, which is a key objective, and to learn quality coping mechanisms with Worcester Public School restorative practices. Something that was a strong current during the selection process was families expressing how much they felt Worcester and our schools were beautifully diverse. We see more of this diversity reflected in the staff and administration, and we love it. That didn't happen by accident. These and other intentions, promises, and commitments by Dr. Monaras make our schools better, our community better, our families better, and most importantly, our students and their futures better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here we go. Heads in takeoff mode.
Let's fly.
Why are we the only birds heading
What's
this
all
way?
this then?
Just happened, Bill.
Hello, my name is Ann Bureau. I'm a
That's super weird. I'm
resident.
watching this off YouTube.
I'm here to
so
speak on behalf
That was
of,
kinda awesome.
I guess we're gonna have to deal with
Or
this.
West End.
I'm sure that was jarring.
On behalf to speak.
Well,
on
I'm
very
intrigued by the
important work
movie
that
now.
The school administration has been able to accomplish this year, and want to applaud Superintendent Monaras. Our coalition, Worcester Community Connections of You Inc. 7 Hills, works with parent leaders and other community partners. to
GT
help
Automotive,
address
if I get an
gaps in
ad
services and risk
blocker, how am I
factors
supposed to know
that
which
can impact
products to
families and lead to
right?
involvement in the child protective system.
Checkmate.
When the superintendent came in September 2022, we worked with an amazing group of parent leaders to bring her the top priorities as they saw it at the time. The great
If I get an
importance
ad
of
blocker,
after-school
I'll keep
care,
drinking.
importance of social emotional support of kids,
Never mind.
a new approach to school discipline with more of a restorative justice approach, the importance of addressing racism and discrimination, the great struggle with mental health needs among families, not just teaching to the MCAS, importance of preparing our kids for college and life beyond, and support for parents who have children with special needs, and bullying.
Brian throwing in
Incredible
another
that
thing I'll
all
have
of
to
these
Google.
areas have
because I
been
have no idea what he's
prioritized
talking
by
about.
the administration, and concrete steps
Camille
put in
Duck
place
movie?
to address them. Deans in our
All
high
right.
schools.
Bill learns about
culture
something
and
in
climate
15
staff,
seconds. Let's go.
wellness rooms, mental health supports, all the RAP coordinators, which have led to an increase in parent involvement, roundtable parent facilitations.
Damn, that's crazy.
restorative
He did a movie
practices,
about ducks?
anti-bullying programming, mental health integration,
fucked.
and I could go on. And most important, the parents we know of have been so appreciative of all the work to hear and to meet with parent voice. This has meant the world to them. Our families are so grateful for all the work you've done. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Okay. What's your name, so you're resident?
My name is Barbara Mudd. I'm a resident of West Boylston, and I'm a chair of the Worcester NAACP. And I'm here around the item, around the superintendent's self-reflection and evaluation. Let's see.
So the
5
interesting thing
years
about
I've
that,
been following
about
the
this
Public
is
School, committee meetings.
we're not going to have
And 2
the
years ago,
school committee
when Dr.
members
Monaras
evaluations per se
there began to be
until
a shift
August. Like they
in
don't
the
file them until the
discussions
August meeting.
around equity,
But
inclusion,
I mean, Binyenda
belonging,
and
diversity.
B and Carrie
The
have pretty much
community
telegraphed
had long-
that they're going to just file
long
0
been
on every
asking
point on the
for the
rubric.
reimagining of school.
What silly
safety.
people.
It is a huge initiative.
They really
of both
are
the
silly
national
people.
NAACP and also the local NAACP for steps to be taken that stop the school to prison pipeline. This superintendent and the administration and the staff of Worcester Public Schools have worked incredibly hard to reimagine school safety and present a vision that gives access to stopping the school to prison pipeline. A few weeks ago, I attended a parent meeting. It was actually at Heather's house. It was just here. It was on a Saturday, and it was 3 hours long. I've been in education since the 1970s, and I had never before witnessed such remarkable listening and parents who were willing to be.
Imagine if Kamala calls Trump Little St. James.
Some of
It'd be all
the
over.
strengths and some of the challenges that they
Okay,
face
Little St.
in
James.
Worcester Public Schools.
Like, I really think that would do it for him.
A lot of what I was going to say repeats what Ann Bureau was going to said. So I'm going to, in the interest of time, I'm going to not do that. But I want to say that the superintendent also took time to actually come to an NAACP meeting and present her vision of learning and the strategic plan to the entire NAACP of Worcester. And it was very well received. And there were a number of members and parents from the community there who who see the level of engagement, the beginning of trust that's beginning to grow in the Worcester Public Schools since.
Bill, you know what I really like about this school administration?
And I also want to
What's that?
It has empowered normal people to come out and
in the
speak.
strategic plan itself, but I do want to mention.
Yeah, right?
I mean, I know that
Um,
sounds like,
the focus
doesn't sound
on
like a big ask, right? But I think this is the first time in my life
the willingness of the
that I've actually heard a lot of normal
to
people
back
just come
Black
out and say, hey,
history as
kind of great.
American
Thanks.
history and want to give more
Like, that's-
access to students of the
Right,
Worcester
right.
schools
Could you wrap up your comments?
to a fuller.
I remember like when Beninda's contract was set
Can you
to
wrap
be
up your comments,
renewed, and there was like that whole fight about it.
Could you wrap up your comments?
It wasn't normal people coming up to support her. The entire gallery that we're seeing,
Okay.
like here,
I just want to
was just building principles. And members of the Teamster
and
Union.
also on behalf of the NAACP, we look forward to continuing.
Also, this just in, I've been saying our vice president's name wrong. Kamala, or is it Kamala?
What's your name, Sir?
Hi, my name is
Kamala?
Holly Montero. I'm a resident of District 5 here in Worcester, and I just want to speak on item K. And I just really want to say thank you very much to the
Kamala.
superintendent for
Thank
all the amazing work that she's done since she's
Kamala.
come here. There's been such an improvement in our school system.
But also, by the way, I
had
am
one
a
of my
Republican.
children already graduate, and I've got
I
3
get
more
my
going
check.
through, and
Mhm.
so it's
From
just
the,
been a real breath of fresh
the
air
Heritage
to
Foundation,
see the change that has happened.
every month.
I was at a CPAC meeting that the superintendent spoke at, and I had brought up an issue that I had with the bus system. And a few weeks later, she found me at the city manager's speech and came up to me and said that she had been
Kimber,
trying
I
to
promise
work
I
on
wasn't
that,
here
and
to
that
drop a slow.
was an amazing thing to see that you even just remembered in the first place and to address it and let me know. So really appreciate that. I know I'm speaking for many parents when we say thank you so much. For
Beninda
everything
has
that
to
you're
be
doing.
absolutely boiling.
We look forward to your continued work
Hearing
here in
like
the
these
district.
normal
Thank
people
you.
being like,
Thank you.
you're doing such a better job than we expected in the past, you know?
Hi, my name is Crystal Guzman. I'm from Worcester. I have a total of 6 children, 3 that have already graduated Worcester Public Schools and 3 that are still currently in Worcester Public Schools. And pretty much they've said everything that I've wanted to say in a formal setting. But I want to say and commend Mrs. Monarez, which is Rachel, and it's amazing because Rachel knows most of our names, which is amazing. It's on a different level that we've never had before. Worcester wanted change so bad that we literally, a former school committee member had to go to California to interview and sort out Mrs. Monterez. That says a lot. Worcester was in dire need of some change. She's bringing that change. And I think that those that are continue to keep opposing the work that her and her administration is doing should be ashamed of themselves. They're a bunch of bullies. And they need to stop that, and they need to think about things, because if you're not part of the solution, then you become part of the problem. And Worcester has enough issues on its own. I'm going to address you as Rachel. Rachel, keep up the great work that you're doing. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You speak volumes, your work speaks volumes, your people that are behind you, your administration speaks volumes, and it's self-explanatory on the change that's happening. We really, really commend you, and we are super thankful and grateful for you being here in Worcester. Thank you.
Thank you.
At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite
No.
of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot.
I did not foresee this
We
being
have
an
a
issue.
couple people. Okay, one more.
Hi, sure. My name is Frances Anthes. I'm a resident here in Worcester. I have 3 children who started out at Elm Park Community School, went on to the Burncoat Magnet programs, went on to Ivy League colleges, have masters in their professions, and I would consider them Worcester Public Schools success stories. But because I'm an Elm Park parent, first, last, and always, I guess, I know the story of John Adams, who in 1755 came and taught at a school that was on North Main Street, and that school eventually evolved into the Dick Street School, and that school eventually evolved into the Elm Park Community School. So I recognize that here in Worcester, we have a legacy that goes back hundreds of years for quality education. And I can really say that my children experienced that, and I appreciate that, and I thank all of the people who were involved in that over the years. But I also recognize that not all children have been successful. And I appreciate that in this administration, we seem to be recognizing and addressing that in a way, as a number of parents have taught out, that's new and that's good. And one of the things I recognize about the downside of being a school that school system that we know goes back hundreds of years is we become a little bit insular, and we become a little bit connected to our own ways of doing things. And frankly, we become a little bit nasty to new ideas and opposed to new ideas and to newcomers. And I would
It's
really
a very
not
incisive
want
comment.
that
Yeah.
tendency that we have to fall upon the work of this school committee, to fall upon the work of this school administration, and to fall upon this community, because we'll all pay for that in the long run. In my opinion, Rachel Monarez is a dynamic, intelligent leader. She successfully created positive systemic change. Her approach includes to that creating needing change includes the
Rachel's
experience
full,
that she brings, but also the value that she places on
self-evaluation
the
is going to be
voices
worth
that we've heard
watching
today
because it's
of
so
students
fucking
and
complicated.
parents and educators and the community.
It's crazy.
She leads with knowledge and grace. She presents positive data and facts, and she explains her decisions to the community. She empowers an effectively realigned management team. They're restructured and they're doing a good job. Her leadership is creating positive outcomes for learners, families, and the community, and I urge you as school committee members to continue to support her and her very important work. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Maida Morales, City of Worcester. I'm here to support Superintendent Dr. Rachel Monarez. Thank you for coming to our community. Thank you for everything that you're doing in our community. She has done so much for our community schools in order to make them a true part of our community. She has opened her heart and mind and demanded the same of her staff to listen and act upon to meet the needs of the parents and scholars. Have you all ever heard that before she came into our community? Our students are called scholars. There's an expectation, right? We know that they can learn, and she brought that here. You did that. I saw you tour all these different spaces in our community when you first got here.
It is a
learn
pretty
about them.
crucial,
I
like,
see you
core difference between the two
talking to
administrations.
parents. I
Is
see
like
you talking to students.
she
Where-
talks about
what are
them like
your
they have a
needs? Where are
chance,
the gaps?
right?
And I see you meeting all of
And
those. A wraparound
Vanina's only ever
coordinators
talked
are a
about
great
kids as like
partner and an
needing
integral
punishment.
part of our
Yep.
community and the success of our students.
I mean, it's
am
such a fucking
always
low bar.
pleasured
Like that
and
shouldn't
happy
be
to work with,
exceptional.
Or as
and
betraying her
support
when
the
they
wraparound
run for school committee.
coordinators in our community. Representation matters.
Right, right.
And because of your leadership,
How dare
our
you betray me? I
scholars
used to give you rides for
have
school.
that
Citation
and
needed.
so much more. Thank you for all that you've done for our community and especially for our children and families. I urge you all to support Dr.
Welcome back, Brian.
Monarchis. You are doing a great job.
Thank you, my day.
Nice of you to join us for 2 seconds there, Brian.
And my day, I just want to thank you for your work on the Haitian Task Force. You do wonderful work there. Thank you. Yep.
Oh, Joe, you little schmoozer.
Okay, so we have a couple people online. Casey, is it Kayla?
Hello, Kayla Baladron here. I am from the Main South area in Worcester. I have 3 children in Worcester Public Schools with a 4th child entering into the Worcester Public Schools this year. And along with what everybody else has said, speaking on the review for the superintendent, I can't see you guys right now. I can't see her, but I see you. Like, we all see what you're doing. And it takes a village to do the work that you're doing and to keep building. As a parent of these 3 children already in Worcester Public Schools, my oldest going into 9th grade, I had started going to the meetings with the superintendent. Not once have I ever been invited before from any other superintendent. So this is, a first time that as a parent, we get to actually be heard on what's going on in the schools. And again, like everybody else has said, everything has been going really well with my children in school, and the superintendent has been listening to my voice and the concerns that I bring from the community. And I just want to say that she's doing an amazing job and that there's nothing about us without us. And we need to start thinking on a higher level than where we are in being bullies, like others have said. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, is it Louise Burnell?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, just your name and city of residence and item number.
Louise Burrell. I live here in Worcester, Mass. I'm here to speak on item K. I'm the superintendent. I'm not going to repeat what everybody else has said, but I am one of the parents that sat on the committee that our superintendent formed with us to address the issues that we had within the school department, within the schools, Worcester Public Schools. And she met so many of our complaints. It was amazing. And not only did she just meet with our complaints, but she also tackled a big one, which is racial disparities that we have going on within our Worcester Public Schools. And I commend her for that, because that's a hard one to do, because nobody wants to admit the racial disparities that go on. She has also increased support for students, which is so great. She's increased after-school programs. She's went after everything that we've asked for. So I'm asking that our school committee support her, that our mayor supports her, because she has done great work, and we want to see her to continue to do this great work. And I thank you for this time.
Thank you, Louise.
Like so many people just saying the nicest things about her.
Okay, we'll close this part of the meeting now. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for being here tonight. Okay. Okay, we have our, I'm sorry, we get the superintendent's report. I almost missed that. Report of the superintendent, self-reflection, and achievement of goals, school year 2023, 2024. Madam Superintendent.
Through the chair, first of all, I would, it doesn't feel right not to thank the people who have said such kind things. So thank you for your kind words. As educators, we do what we do for children. We don't expect for any feedback.
I thought it was to
that's
draw 3 pensions
positive,
at
such
once.
as this, but it always feels good when it happens. The best always feels good, and I'm looking at my cabinet team now, when children come up to us and they find us in places, you know, and they're grown adults. Unfortunately, I don't get that here in Massachusetts because obviously I didn't teach here. But I just want to thank you for seeing the hard work, and I do not do it alone. I have a great team sitting here and amazing people who also work in our schools. But I do recognize that it is the role of the superintendent to build the culture and to develop, you know, those relationships. And so thank you for seeing that. I also want to welcome a new member to our cabinet team. I want to welcome Dr. Shannon Connolly. She was not expecting this, but she is our interim executive director since Dr. Sipple is now a superintendent in Malden. So welcome, Shannon, to the team. We're happy to have you part of it, your expertise, your voice. We know that we will continue to grow. So tonight, as heard, this is my annual self-reflection, and the purpose of the self-reflection is to give context to the materials and the evidence and artifacts that you received as a school committee today around 3 o'clock, if we got that all organized well. And I know we did, because your clerk is phenomenal. So if we can go to the next slide, and I'll go over the presentation objectives. So there are 3. I will review with you data and artifacts associated with the superintendent's goal for the 23-24 school year. You will receive some background information and necessary context so that you can fully understand my self-reflection, and you'll be provided opportunity to ask clarifying questions prior to the formal evaluation that you will be asked to conduct and get into.
I'm working on a
Mayor
banger
Petty
video
by
right now
August 2nd. And then the evaluation will actually take
tearing
place
down that Nazi
the
banner.
August committee meeting. So that is the purpose for
It features
tonight,
Good
is for
Riddance
me
by
to
Green Day.
share with you
It's gonna be great.
you will receive, or what you actually have received today, in terms of impact data and artifacts as it relates to the goals that were established in August of last school year, and then to be able to answer questions. So the next slide really is less for the committee, more of a reminder for the committee, but more for our community and those who watch. This slide comes from Charting the Course with the Massachusetts Association of School Committee Members. And when you go through Charting the Course, our committee members know that you receive information on, you know, your role as a school committee member. And the role, the ideal state of a school committee is to set goals, identify budget to support those goals, monitor progress, and then ensure alignment between what the school committee says the goals are, how the resources are allocated, and policy alignment. So that's the ideal state of a school committee. The next slide also comes from the Charting the Course with Massachusetts Association of School Committee Members. And this is to, again, for the community as much it is for school committee members, just to be reminded and about the roles and responsibilities of a school committee versus the superintendent. So if we go through on the lighter blue side, the role of the committee is governance. That's, you're elected to be the governing body for schools, for the school district. You do that by establishing those goals, or as this says, the ends, the results, through identifying mission, vision, goals, policy, and budget. So it's really the what. What are we going to do in the school district? Why do we do it? How is it linked to what the community says is needed, what families are asking for, what research says, and how much money will be allocated? You, as a school committee member and as a governance team, serve as the bridge between the community and the superintendent. And you are the authorizers, right? You vote and then you monitor. So the evaluation of the superintendent is part of that monitoring piece of the role of the committee. On the other side is the role of the superintendent and the team that I lead, which is the management of the goals that the school committee has set. And so again, August of last school year, the school committee at that time established goals. Then it's up to the superintendent to determine the means. How are we going to implement these goals? And that's through strategies that are put in place, action plans, developing regulations for our schools and our district departments, and establishing procedures. So if you think about if committee is the what, why, and how much, the superintendent determines how we're going to do this, who will do it, when will it happen, and where will it happen. That's the role of the superintendent and their management team. The superintendent serves as the bridge between the staff and the committee. And as the superintendent, you bring recommendations forward. So the most recent recommendation was the budget, which was recommended, and you authorized it or you voted for it. And now it'll be my responsibility with my team to implement what was authorized. So committee is governance, superintendent is management. What brings us together so that we're a high functioning team is the trust and respect that we build with each other, how we treat each other, how we ask questions of each other, and how we listen to each other. That's what the community watches for, because the community has voted the committee to be the governing body. The community has voted the committee to select the superintendent, and then the community expects that the superintendent works with the committee to implement those goals. It is a dance that we, as both superintendent and committee members, work together on. And so in this evaluation process, just a reminder that your work is you set goals, and now I'm going to tell you how well I think the district has done on those goals.
What time do you guys get up in the morning?
As the kind of the thread that moves it forward, right? And maybe the gas
What's that?
that fuels.
I was asking what time you guys
So
get
with
up in the
that, we'll go to
morning,
the
but then
next
Brian
slide.
froze and I missed the whole thing.
So the goals
Oh, well,
for the superintendent
I get up
are
at
based
6
off of
a.m.
4
every
standards,
day this
and
week.
those standards
Yeah,
are
I'm
here.
doing the
You will
drywall up
receive,
at
or
the
you
new
received
McDonald's.
in the document for evaluation.
I was,
a document that is provided by the
I noticed that
Department of
Ben's
Elementary
by
and
himself this
Secondary
week. Hank's on
Education,
vacation.
and you will
We should
evaluate
just
me
show
in
up at the
4
studio
areas
and
of
like
the standards. So I'll read the
old school
standards
dojo
here for
storm
you,
the radio
but again,
station.
you'll have this.
Dude, I bet Ben would be
This
stoked.
as part of your evaluation.
But they start
process. The
so
standard one
That's
is
Airheads
instructional
in.
leadership. And what it says
Like,
is the educational
dude, that's
leader
so sick.
promotes the learning and growth of all
I
students and the success of all staff by cultivating a
think they
shared
start at
vision
like
that
6
makes
a.m.,
powerful
but I would
teaching
be
and learning
down.
the central focus of schooling.
I just have to
There
do it
are
tomorrow because I'm going camping on
indicators within
Thursday.
that.
So
It is those indicators
we gotta
that
do it
are
tomorrow
focus
for him.
indicators, and you receive that in your documents today. And I will share with you again how the district has progressed in those. The second standard is in the area of management and operations. This tends to be a lot around human resource work and business services. So the language says promotes the learning and growth of all students and the success of all staff by ensuring a safe, efficient, and effective learning environment, using resources to implement appropriate curriculum, staffing, and scheduling. So there is a goal around that, and you will see evidence to support that. Third standard is around family and community engagement. And the language says promotes the learning and growth of all students and the success of all staff through effective partnerships with families, community organizations, and other stakeholders that support the mission of the school and district. And finally, the last standard is around professional culture. This one is about, the language says, promote success for all students by nurturing and sustaining a school culture of reflective practice, high expectations, and continuous learning for staff. So as I go through the goals and the evidence, I have also linked to it the standard that it's associated with, and you'll be able to refer to that in your evaluation document. So let's get into what the superintendent goals are. So next slide. So goal one more click. Thank you, Casey. Again, these goals were established collaboratively with, I do recognize it was a different school committee. They are the goals for the last school year. So district goal number 1, by June 30th, 2024, ensure a district-wide system for recruitment, hiring, and retention of a talented, cultural, and linguistically competent workforce. Doing this through a culture of belonging and authentic engagement, as measured by a 10% narrowing of the gap between overall student and staff demographics. So when the school committee approved this, we said that some examples of impact evidence would be a 10% narrowing of staff and student diversity gap. You will see that in future slides. Decreasing staff grievances at the school level, you'll see that, and an increase in our BIPOC staff. You'll also see that in future slides. Product evidence, because last committee I really wanted to emphasize that I will not just be bringing forward evidence that's product-based. There's going to be impact that's going to start happening in the district. So the product that I submitted for the evaluation for this particular goal is the development of a Worcester Public Schools staff and cultivation guidebook. The rubric or the alignment to those standards that I just listed, it's standard number 2, management and operations, and there's 2 parts to that. There's the management and development piece, and there's law, ethics, and policies. And so I speak to that in my summary that I provided to you today. But the next slide starts to show some data impact. So we said we were going to decrease the gap between our student demographics and our staff. And when we said this, we said we we're going to do it by 10%. And what we didn't calculate in is that the student demographics are constantly changing. And so although we increase the percentage of students of staff by 8.47%, I believe, something like that. The student demographics continue to increase as well. So we didn't make that 10% overall, but we did grow our overall demographics, as you can see. We just need to keep double timing it. So we're just about 9% that we met. We have increased our diversity in our staff. It's just our student diversity continues to grow too, which is a great thing. So we'll keep working on that. How did we do this? We did this by pipeline development, by partnering with our universities, by having intentional focus on revamping our procedures when we are interviewing individuals and making sure that our pool is reflective of our community to the best possible, and then heavy recruitment. So we will keep doing that. We're also really, when it comes to pipeline development, we're looking at within our own community and people who are already working for us. So parents who are working for us in different positions, we tap them and we say, have you thought about going and earning a degree? And we can help you along that way. We can help you pass these tests. We can do things with you. We want you to continue to grow. And we're not doing that just for parents. We're doing that for individuals who work for us, and we want to continue to grow them. So that's starting to take traction, and we're going to keep working on that. That's staff diversity. I think just because I want to make time, I want to go through all of this, if that's okay with everybody, and then come back for questions. Yep. Okay, so please just hold your questions as we go.
Wonder who had a question.
10% was the goal, didn't quite make the 10%. We're about 8.47. Yes, 8.47. The next slide is a data point that we're very proud of. You actually saw this in May. This is the decrease of the number of grievances. So as you know, grievances are contract violations that we, in different parts of the district, it always starts at a school or at a department level. And then if it cannot be rectified at that lowest level, then it starts to move up the chain. When a supervisor has, and I always believe it's unintentional, but has violated the contract, then what we're telling our employees is, yes, we have a contract with you, and it's actually a contract that the employee organization enters in with you as the school committee. And we're saying, so we have a contract with you, but it really doesn't matter because we're going to do it. That's the way it's perceived. Not that it's done intentionally, but that's the way it's perceived. So we have been very intentional about making sure our administrators understand what's in the contract, and that if there is a grievance, that we take care of it at the lowest level, because the relationship is at the school level or the relationship is at the department level. And we want those relationships to stay strong. So you can see that this school year, we've had 12 grievances. And this is as of, I think, the end of May. Is that accurate? I think there's been one grievance since then, but 3 grievances since then, but they've been rectified. So, and as a committee, you have not had any grievances that have come to you. So I do my best to take care of things at my level, if it comes to me, because I don't think that you should have to correct something that we should have fixed along the way. So we're very proud of that decrease in the amount of grievances. Not only does this take care, like really help to create that sense of belonging and authentic engagement that we're saying we want for our staff, I mean, for our children and our families, but for the staff as well. But we save money on litigation, or the decrease of litigation. So that's important as well. So we've had 15 grievances now this school year. Still a huge decrease in where we were when I first arrived. The next slide goes into cultivation and retention. And so you can see we continue to retain 95.7% of our staff. And of our new hires, we're at 93.4%. So we're very pleased with that staff retention. This is really important to the overall health of an organization, of a school district. We invest in people. We get, we start talking the same language, if you will, and we want to keep them with us. That's why this budget season was so difficult, because we knew there were people we had already started investing in, and yet we, is there something wrong with the slides? Okay, all right. So that's staff retention. Additionally, and you will get copies, you get access to this cultivation guidebook in the documents that I shared with you. This guidebook is intended to, and so this is the evidence impact or product evidence. The guidebook is for our administrators to help them at their school level and in the departments to follow the procedures, the state and federal guidelines, the local guidelines around hiring, retaining, supervision, all these things in one-stop shop. So there's links within this document, and again, you'll have access to that. But this was really important because as we want to decrease grievances, we want to increase retention, we want to diversify our staff, the people who are leading our schools and our departments need these tools so that we're not doing things kind of willy-nilly, right? We need to be doing them in sync with each other. And so developing a guidebook was very important. The team makes fun of me because we have so many guidebooks now and playbooks and roadmaps, but we have so much written now that we are clear on where we're going, which is incredibly important. That takes care of that slide, or the part of this information on the, I'm sorry, I'm goal 1, which is the district goal. What you'll also see in the evidence that I provided for you is the number of BIPOC individuals. You'll see that as some additional evidence that is in the packet that was sent to you today. The next slide goes into the second district goal. Now, just a reminder, as a superintendent, I'm required to have one district goal, one student goal, and one professional goal. But because Worcester has such a dire need when it comes to facilities, I said to the committee at the beginning of last school year, we need a second district goal, and it needs to be around facilities. We can't ignore this very important piece. So this is the second district goal, which is by June 30th, 2024, was to strengthen maintenance protocols and implement school safety recommendations to guarantee the continual modernization of all Worcester Public Schools facilities, cultivating an environment that is both secure and supportive of learning by building capacity and valuing knowledge, as measured by 100% completion of the highest priority emergency projects identified through the safety audit. So the safety audit is our guiding tool, as it relates to this particular goal. The impact evidence you will see when I get to the next slide, I'm going to show you that the highest priority was actually the installation of vestibules at identified schools. I'm not going to share what those identified schools are, that this is a safety thing, but I want you to see what we're putting in place. They will be there before the start of the school year. We've already started some of them. The product evidence, so I said we were going to create a system to collect and monitor the safety trainings and drills. We didn't have a system to do that, so we have developed that, and so I'll give you a snapshot of what that looks like. And this aligns to, again, Standard 2, Management and Operations, but specifically the environment. So the next slide are pictures of a vestibule at one of our highest need locations. So let me just talk through this a little bit. So without that extra lining of windows right there, individuals would come down to the first door and get buzzed in, and then they would enter, but we had to count on them to go up the stairs where that open door is. And no, that's not where the open door is. There's an open door. You can't see it right there. We would need them to go up to the office. But what they could do is they could go anywhere in the school because there wasn't a direct path to making sure that the school is safe. So what the vestibule does is it tracks the person. So they come in, they get buzzed in the first time, they come in, there's another buzzing system. They get buzzed in the second time and they can only go up the stairs. And the stairs takes them to the front office. What that does is that creates a second barrier of safety for any.
I bet Ben has a vestibule down at the radio station.
That might want to
use it
we
to
don't
trap
like
us.
to think that we have to do that at our schools, but we live
You
in
like
reality.
saw it too after that.
And so what the vestibule also does is because it's put in a place, because someone might say, well, why don't you just put a person down there and then we're fine. We've got someone checking. But we just went through a major budget crisis. We don't always have money to put somebody down there, and someone might get pulled somewhere else. So this stops that from happening. And this is a more permanent solution. So we will have all of these vestibules, and we don't have a whole bunch of them needed, but these were the highest priority ones that were identified in the safety audit. And those will all be in place before school starts. And so we're happy about that because it gives a greater sense of security and safety, not just for the children there, of course, for the parents, but also for the staff that works there as well. So this has this portion of the goal has been met. The next slide just gives a snapshot of the system to monitor safety drills. So when I arrived to Worcester, I asked what our system was to know in our 50-some schools, how do we know that drills are happening regularly? What is our system for monitoring that? And we didn't have one. And so we now have developed this system where the director of safety at any time can pull up this dashboard and see which schools have not done a practice drill and go and have that conversation with the executive director and that principal. So we have a way of not only holding people accountable, but holding ourselves accountable. You can see that we've got fire drills, bus drills, standard response protocol drills, and medical response drills. This is a snapshot of it that I know this picture was taken midway through the year, this school year, just to give you an idea that we have developed this drill, and I'm grateful for the director of safety for taking this task on. So the two pieces of evidence that were submitted are these two pieces of evidence. Oh no, I actually have one more piece that was not part of the evidence. And I do want to remind again the committee that the evaluation process requires that I submit 1 to 3 pieces of evidence for each goal. 1 to 3 pieces. So I made sure that I had sufficient evidence for you to be able to evaluate. Not overburdening, but enough that you can evaluate. The next slide is something that we started this school year that next year we'll have more data on. And we have shifted over to a new work order program. It's called Operation Hero. And the purpose of this work order program is to be able to provide more timely feedback to not only our facilities department, but also to our school leaders. There's nothing more frustrating as a principal. I remember being a principal myself, submitting a work order and waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen. And it could go on forever, and you start to feel like it just goes into this black abyss. And it's not because the facilities isn't working very hard. That's not what it is. There just needs to be that feedback of information. So the Operation Hero provides that. We piloted it this year. We'll have that in place for next school year, and we'll be able to bring data to the committee as the committee so chooses. This is very much a management piece of evidence for us to make sure that our schools, our facilities department is responsive to schools, and if they're not, that the schools know where it is in the process. Because unfortunately, facilities just don't work as easily as we want them to.
Focus on his
For
job.
those of us who own homes, we know that we think we're going to be able to do one thing and 5 more things happen as a result, and then you're waiting for something to be delivered and all that good stuff. Unfortunately, that's what happens in schools too. But we want people to have communication. So this is an extra piece of information just for the committee, kind of a glimmer of hope as we work into next school year. I'm going to move on now to the student goal. This is going to be a lot of information. I hope I don't overwhelm you too much, because there's a lot of data to share. And we're pleased with where we're going. So let me just share remind you of the goal. So by June 30th, 2024, collaboratively lead school teams in identifying using multiple sources of evidence to assess, respond, and improve outcomes in all schools with an intentional focus on historically underserved youth. I'm going to pause there because Mayor Petty asked me today, and I think it was just such a good question. Rachel, how did you decide historically underserved youth? Did we determine that? We did not as a committee. We said this would be the goal, and then we didn't talk about it anymore. So I went with what the data has always shown in Worcester in terms of the gap between how the whole district is doing and then how certain groups of students are doing. Because we don't want the data to, we don't want to show that we're increasing, but then you look at certain groups of kids and they're not. That's not being, honest and transparent. So as a committee, you may want to say to me, these are the historically underserved groups you want to see, and we can move forward in that. But for this evaluation, I chose 4 groups, and we'll look at them shortly. So back to the goal. So by building capacity and valuing knowledge, authentic engagement, a sense of belonging. So how are we going to measure this? 3 big areas. Increase 3rd grade reading performance, as demonstrated by the STAR assessment from the end of the school year 23-24. So we use the beginning of the year 23-24 data to 23-24 of the end of the school year this year. So we'll talk, I'll show you STAR. Also, and then in the secondary in my middle and high schools, increase the percentage of students in middle and high school who self-report, that's important, it's a self-reporting, that they are engaged in schools, as measured by the Worcester Public Schools Culture and Climate Survey, which is called Panorama. And then finally, increase the number of formally limited English proficient students, FLEP. And the multilingual department has actually changed that language. We're calling them former English learners. And so I'll show you how we've increased that. So what's the impact data you're going to see? Those 3 pieces of data, plus I have a lot of data around DIBELS, which is really around student growth and early literacy that I'm going to share with you. Product evidence, I've just got screenshots of them in this presentation, but you will receive access to the literacy guide, the data literacy guide, and the data visualization guide. Our Dr. Andrade, who is here, and his department has done a phenomenal job in pulling together my vision on what we can have in terms of data literacy and data dashboards, so that the teams can collaboratively look at multiple pieces of data and can make the instructional decisions that are so important. The rubric alignment, there's quite a few in this one. And I want to remind the committee, the reason there's so much in this goal is because the committee requested that at the beginning of last school year. You wanted to see a lot more in the area of of instructional leadership and the impact on students' outcomes. So this is linked to curriculum, assessment, data-informed decision-making, and student learning. That's in the instructional leadership portion. And then in standard 3, family and community engagement, sharing responsibility. So let's go to the next slide. We're going to start first with third grade reading performance. You're going to see 2 pieces of data. You're going to see STAR data and DIBELS data. Just 1 second, Casey, leave it right there for me. The STAR data is, I want you to think of that as reading achievement data. It is a broader review of how
I'm almost
children
done with my
are reading
masterpiece.
at grade level, and it's their achievement data. The DIBELS is around reading growth and more discrete reading skills. Remember, we're only looking at third grade performance because that was the goal. So we have an 11% point increase on the STAR third reading grade level at for children who are at or above benchmark from the beginning of the year till this school year. As compared to 8 and 7% increases over previous years. We also have a 12% decrease, and we want to see this decrease because this is about children who are below benchmark, or well below benchmark in DIBELS from the beginning of the year until the end of the year. So when you're below benchmark, we want to see those numbers decrease.
I'm really enjoying this word DIBELS.
And we had a 12% increase on DIBELS for third graders reading at or above benchmark. From the beginning of the year until the end of the year. Before I click the slides, I want
Sounds like a candy from the 90s.
third graders were kindergarten children during the pandemic. So their kindergarten year was all virtual. That's really important to understand because if you logged into any online learning going on at that time, they were just little bobbleheads all over the place. I know I saw it in California. I know it was happening here. God bless the parents and everything you did during that time. So the first slide, go ahead and click that. It's the STAR data. So you can see that go all the way over to the third piece, school year 24, they started at 32%, those third graders, and they ended the school
Sounds like
year
this
at
show,
3%.
virtual
Those are the
kindergarten.
children who are at or above benchmark. We are very pleased with that because
Well,
we can
DIBELS
see
and
the amount
bobbleheads.
of growth that they've had. That is a really big jump for those particular children. We feel very good about them going into fourth grade. If you click on the next slide, this is DIBELS. These are the children. So again,
Don't call me
DIBELS is looking at reading growth, more discrete skills. You can see that we decreased the amount of children on the well below benchmark and the below benchmark, and we have increased the number of children above benchmark. And at the children at benchmark, it's about the same. It's about 19%. Now you might say, well, that doesn't look good, Rachel. Many times children who were in that at benchmark, they've actually moved over to the above benchmark, and then we move children along the continuum, which is what we want to do. So we've got a decrease in well below, and we have increases on the at benchmark or above benchmark. So what does that tell us? Our third graders going into fourth grade are much stronger than they would have been if we didn't do what we had done this school year with what we believe is the heavy investment in curriculum that supports the science of reading. These children, 32% were reading at grade level at the beginning of the school year. Now we are at 43%. Now it is not as great as it was in the previous 2 years, but you can see how much further below they were. And that's what we want to focus on because we want to see, is this making a difference? Did CKLA and providing teachers with the resources start to make a difference?
I have
don't know
nothing to
what would have
riff on
happened
here.
If they didn't have those materials, I don't know if we would have.
But that's how
caught children
school
at
governance
32%.
should be.
So we
It
have
should be
a
boring,
higher growth in reading
competent,
this school year than
professional.
we have in the past.
So meanwhile, I've just been making
Next
my little
slide
Nazi
starts to
movie.
go into the historically
And
underserved. So I
it's
want you to
almost done.
remember 43% of all of our youth are third graders. 43% of third graders are reading at or above grade level. When you click on the next piece,
Oh, she
Casey
wouldn't.
for helping me here. 13% increase on STAR for our Black and African American third graders who are reading at or above benchmark, and an 8% increase on DIBELS for those children. So we're very happy to see that. You'll click and you'll see what the STAR data shows. So at the beginning of the school year, all the way over on the far, you can see they were at 30% who were reading at or above grade level. You see that? And then at the end of the school year, they're at 43%. We have, and then if you click again, you'll see that in Dibbles, now Dibbles again shows growth. At the beginning of the school year, these children were at 34%, and now they're at 42%. So again, we're seeing the kind
It's
of
important to
movement that we
watch
want
the
to
whole
see
thing
for the
for what happens
historically
after,
underserved. Now,
which is
if you compare this
the
group to
complete
the
opposite
overall
of that.
district in STAR, the numbers are pretty close, right? We started at STAR
That said, I'll be right
district-wide
back.
at 32% who were at below, or I'm sorry, who were at grade level or above. The Black and African American group started at 30%, but they all ended at 43%. So this group, in the totality of them, there's no gap between how the overall district is doing and the Black African American scholars. I do want to point out, because I've spoken with families and community members, there has been an ask, and we are going to work on figuring out how to do this. Is there a way to distinguish
I think that's Shaun and Mairead's son's name.
families
right?
who are immigrant coming to the United States from other countries who might be identify or would self-identify as Black? How can we disaggregate that from Black families who were born and raised in the United States? And is there a distinction there? And so we're going to start working on how can we look at that. We talked about it. We have to figure out how to do that, but we will be working on doing that. But right now we're just looking
the
at all of
superintendent,
the families who
Rachel
identified
Menards.
themselves in this area. Okay. Next slide is the area that there's continuous work everywhere, because although 43% we're happy, we've seen growth, until we've got 100% of children reading on grade level, we're not satisfied. So I just want to put that out there for everybody. We want to move in the right direction, but we didn't get as much growth in our Latino, for our Latino scholars. So go ahead and click that. We have 7% increase on STAR for the Hispanic Latino third graders reading at or above benchmark. And we have 11% increase on Dibbles. Again, STAR is the achievement data
Strength.
for reading. Dibbles is the reading, growth reading. If you click on the next slide, you'll see. So you can see that at the beginning of the year, we had 23% of that student group reading at or above grade level. And at the end of the year, we had 30%. But district-wide, remember, we have 43. So we have not narrowed, that gap is not as closed as we want it to be. The next slide shows the percentage on Dibbles. This is a better story.
Drink.
And for me personally, knowing teaching and learning, the Dibbles gives me more hope, because that shows me children's ability. They're learning how
Can't
to
keep up,
read.
man.
And they're getting stronger in their
wasted.
reading ability. It'll start to translate into the achievement
like
data.
When
But we have
me and my
more work to do
friends
in this
developed
area.
the
So
Three Amigos
the
drinking game,
group of students was at
and
30%.
you have
and
to
now
drink
they're at
every time you
45%.
see
So that's a nice trend.
a desert scene,
But we still have
like a
work to be done in
like a
this
desert
area.
landscape.
Next
you have to
slide
take a
starts
drink,
to go
and
into
no one's ever survived the game. Everyone passes out before the movie's over.
A Latino student is an English learner, because that's not the case. Some English learners are Latino students, but we've got plenty of Latino students who English is not their second language, it is their first language. So there might be a mix of children in here, but this is specific to children who we have identified as English language learners based off of a home language survey. If you'll click the slide, we're starting to see some increase. We had an 8% percentage point increase on STAR for our multilingual children. Again, these are only our third graders who are reading at or above benchmark. And we had a 13% point increase on Dibbles for that same group of students who are in third grade. Again, these were third graders who were virtual in kindergarten. So that is a really big deal. Next slide shows how they've done. We just have so much work to be done, right? Like, that's the problem. Not the problem, it's just the challenge. It is where we're at. So 14% were at or above grade level in STAR, and at the end of this school year, it's 22%. So that's that 8% increase on STAR. A language learner can be someone who has come to the country and they've been here 2 years. It could be someone who's been here 5 years. They get all grouped into this one group until they are reclassified, or what we call former English learners. The next slide goes into, again, the DIBELS. We see a nicer trend line where they were at 22% at the beginning of the school year, and now they're at 35%. Again, we're seeing growth for our language learners. And for children who are learning English while they are learning how to read in English, this is a nice trend. I just want to see accelerated. So I anticipate that this will be part of what I'll bring to you as committee members for potential goals for next school year. Next slide goes into how our children who are identified with special needs are. This is another area where we've had some growth, but it's kind of moderate. Go ahead and click on that. 6% increase on STAR for those third grade scholars who are identified on an IEP. And that IEP can include speech only. It can include students with disabilities. They could be in our autism program. This runs the gamut. They're identified with an IEP. And then 10% increase on DIBELS for those same third graders. Click on the slide and you'll see, very much like the English language learners, there's just so much work to be done in this area. So they started at 15% and now they're at 21%. That's in STAR. The next slide shows DIBELS, not quite the same amount of percentage. They started at 13%, they're now at 23%. So we have work to be done as it relates to what we do for our children who are learning
Chambers
English
a
as a
competence
second
queen.
language, and children who are identified with special needs. Next slide. Now here's a different way of looking at the data. And I know I couldn't figure out how to have this fly in, so just go with me on this. And Casey, there's quite a few clicks, so I'll kind of ask you to click along the way, okay? So the first graph that's going to show is third grade reading for, just to give you a picture of how our third graders are reading. Think about the colors. The red is not good. They're below grade level, right? They're below grade level. Yellow is red is they're well below grade level. Yellow is they're below grade level. Green is that they're at grade level, and blue is that they're above grade level. So the three rows is where we were at the beginning of the year, where we were at the middle of the year, where we were at the end of the year. I want you to note that the number of children have increased. We started with 1,530 children in third grade. We ended with 1,560. If you click, no, that's okay. Note the difference in the amount of children who, using DIBELS, are showing reading performance and improvement. And I want you to see that line that goes in there, how much we have decreased the amount of children who are, below reading or well below reading. So we want to see that. That's exactly what we want to see. We want to see that the numbers moving to depending on how you're looking at it, to the right of the graph. The next slide shows you decoding, which is really our indicator of reading readiness. So if you click on that slide, first let me tell you what these lines going through the colors are. When a child is already they understand or they can demonstrate whatever skill was assessed there, they don't get tested on it again. So it just goes through and it shows it in a different way, but they are included in the at grade level. So you can see here, go ahead and click once, that circle is even bigger. These are the children who are on target to be on grade level reading. They are showing dramatic improvements. And if you click one more time, and you can see how we've cut into the children who were at well below. That's what we want to see for our children, right? And there's so much, our teachers work so incredibly hard.
We must
do
kill
believe that
DIBELS.
providing them with resources that help them to teach children how to read was a piece of this pie, but it wasn't everything. We've got phenomenal teachers in our district. We've worked on, again, sense of belonging, classroom environments that are very welcoming. This is what we want to see, and we're looking forward to what these fourth graders will be doing in the future, and how those, and we're already preparing to have conversations with our fourth grade teachers. They're going to come in stronger, be ready. Let's not hold them back. So this is another piece of really positive data for us. Now, the other side of it is there work to be done? Absolutely. There's still children that we have to get them up to grade level, but we are decreasing that amount. And so then it makes it more attainable for us as a district versus where they came in. Next slide. This shows also growth in a different way using dibbles.
We should all test our dibbles.
So if we'll click on it, so I had to have Dr. Andrade speak to me a little bit about this. I was like, I don't know if I want to use this. It might be a little too much for people. So I hope it's not.
You guys might be too stupid for this.
Make sense of it. So there's the student growth and there's the dibbles benchmark level. What we want to see, if you'll click, are the children in this one quadrant, right? We want them to have high growth and we want them to be improving. You can see that the majority of our children are excelling, 45% are excelling on Dibble's third grade reading, and 29% are
Travis sells
improving.
a special
We have
piece of
12%
equipment.
of the children who are either maintaining or slipping, so we got to find out who those children are at the school level. The teachers need to know. We'll show you how they'll know who those children are. And we've got 21% underperforming. But I'm going to tell you, 21% is a much more doable group than 52% or anything that we could be experiencing. So we are in a really good place. Again, just another way to look at the Dibbles data. If you'll click, you'll see I just aggregated the numbers. So 34% of our third graders are excelling or improving in their literacy abilities.
Yeah, Travis is a dibbler.
And these students, again, spent their kindergarten year in virtual learning environments. So our educators, our principals, the tools that we've provided for them from the district level, the work of the Q teams, it is making a difference.
He's pulling a prank on us.
And we want to keep making that difference for our children because we know if they are not reading at grade
Listen.
level,
I've been doing very important things.
The next, that's all reading. I know, I told you it's going to be a lot. Then we go into the secondary.
I've been smoking very
reminder,
cigarettes on the
on
porch.
this one, it was using Panorama, which is a self-reported tool that we give to 7th through 12th grade students. And on that, go ahead and click. Not quite the same
And
kind of
making a very
increases
fun
that we saw
movie
in the reading, the third grade
that
reading.
I think
We had a 2%
I'm having trouble sharing
point
because of
increase
how I
on
named.
Panorama for our middle school students. We had a 4% increase for our high school students.
Use the swear.
We did see an increase for our Black African American language learners and students with special needs, higher than the
Be back
district average.
momentarily.
So that's good. So the next slide shows you what that looks like.
Brendan's
So the
gone.
middle school, they started at 22%. They, and this is around student engagement, and they increased to 24%. The high school, 21%, and they increased to 25%. Let me give you just an example of what the questions that we asked, that the assessment asks for the student engagement. And it's on a Likert scale, so going from extremely excited to slightly excited. One of the questions was, how excited are you about going to class? Extremely excited, slightly excited, somewhat excited, not excited, quite excited. That's what they had to rate themselves on. How often do you get so focused on activities in your class that you lose track of time? Almost never to almost always, and a 5-point scale there. In your classes, how eager are you to participate? Not at all to extremely eager. When you are not in school, how often do you talk about ideas from your classes? Almost never to almost always. And then finally, overall, how interested are you in your classes? Not interested at all to extremely interested. And so it's the 5-point scale along. So this is really about relevance in a classroom setting and the amount of current and active engagement that our youth are looking for and our teachers are trying to balance, right? So we've got what they have to teach and then the context of a child's life and finding that in between. So we've got some improvement there, but we know we have increases to make in there. The next slide shows sense of belonging. Oh, I'm sorry, not yet. You're fine, Casey, though. So this is then the student groups. So you can see that all of the groups are higher than the district average, which was 25, with the exception of our Latino youth. They're at 23%. And so that's a big portion of our district. That's almost half of our district. So if they're not feeling engaged, no wonder our numbers aren't growing as a district, right? So happy to see our Black youth more engaged, happy to see our English learners, our students with disabilities. That's wonderful. Want to spend time, want our schools to spend time, with our Latino youth and not solely them, but if they grow, then the district grows, right? So it's a balance of that. But data is really important for us to understand what is working and what's not. I do want to note that the high schools are where last school year the investment was put in for the Dean of Students and the climate and culture assistants, and we had more growth there than we did at the middle school, so that may have something to do with it. We'll see in the next slide. So the next slide shows sense of belonging. We had a 1% increase on Panorama for our middle school students, 2% increase for high school students, and again, the Black, African American, our language learners and students with special needs also had
I'm going to
higher
apologize in
increase than the
advance,
district
but
average.
y'all are just going to watch
So
me
if you click on
smash
that
a
slide, you'll
pizza from
see
Wonder Bar.
that the middle school started at 32%.
Ooh,
they're
pizza
at
from
33%.
Wonder Bar.
Yeah.
High schools were at 31%. They're at 33%.
What kind
I'll
of
share with you the questions that were asked.
It's just cheese. I'm going boring, man.
Same Likert scale.
Hungry, and I'm eating
1
it.
to 5 and everywhere in between. How well do people at your school understand you as a person? How connected do you feel to the adults at your school? Remember, we're asking this of teenagers, so let's, they're teenagers, but we want to know how they feel. How much respect do students in your school show you? How much do you matter to others at
I get no
school?
respect.
And overall, how much do you feel like you
I
belong
can't get no
at your school?
satisfaction.
And so, it could be belong a little bit to completely belong. How much do you matter? Matter a little bit to a tremendous amount. Connectedness, slightly connected to extremely connected with adults at the school. So there's a lot of data that we can really dig into this, and we'll be providing it to our schools so that they can continue to work on it, and they'll get their data by the school. So go ahead and click there, and you can see again the student groups. The district is at 33%. We can see that our Black African American is at 35%. Good, happy to see that. Hispanics at 31%. Don't like to see that less than English learners, 36%. Students with disabilities, 37%. So it is mixed. I would again say when we can further engage our Latino youth, we will not only see it increase for them, but we will see it increase for the district. And that needs to continue to be a priority. Final piece of data to show, next slide. Our former English learners fell, which when I first developed this goal with the committee, they were referred to as formerly limited English proficient FLEP, but now they are fell. So really happy to share this information.
They used to be FLEP.
Go ahead and
now they're
click.
fell,
The percentage
folks.
of
Now they're
reclassified
fell.
former English learners
They
is
used to be
projected to
FLEP.
be the
Now they're
highest since
fell.
the pandemic. If you click, you'll show
The Dibbles, they love me. The
10%
Dibbles.
As a
The
district,
Dibbles?
we have successfully
They used to be
reclassified
FLEP.
720
Now they're
youth.
fell.
That's 10%.
Joe Biden, everybody. Joe
You can
Biden.
see that we actually have
Joe.
less children who are identified as English learners based off of our current Worcester Public Schools numbers, because we don't have official numbers from DESE yet. But what's so important about this is when a child enters middle school and high school, if they are still identified as an English learner, they lose access and opportunity to some elective classes because they must still take an English as a second language course. And so we want to continue to honor
This
their
is an
home
important
language,
point.
and we want them to have the English so that they can access
For
all
this
these
entire
other programs
meeting,
that we
Maria
have for
Medenda
them.
was at
Of course, we don't want to reclassify
a
children
resort.
too quickly,
I assume,
because then they will not
an
be
all-inclusive
successful. So it is a balance.
Saint
But when we can
Martin
successfully reclassify,
or
we need to
Martin.
do that.
I don't
And
know, Saint
the way that
Martin.
we made this happen this year was just to start to share the data with our schools.
And she was piping
At the
in
beginning of the
red
school
hot with
year, we
anger,
created
as we will hear.
spreadsheets, and we gave
Just a
them
little
to the
bit.
schools, and we said, these are the children that
wait.
are right on the cusp. They're ready to reclassify.
Let me see,
They
where are we at?
only need
122?
maybe a writing portion, or they need some additional work. We did some tutoring with them, and we can see that it improved greatly. This makes a world of difference in a child's life who's an English learner. So I'm really happy to see this, and we'll continue to grow this.
The thing
The
I
next
like about
slide
this
is
report
just,
is it's
um,
all of it
our-
is
our
completely
multilingual
beyond.
program is just so
right?
incredibly proud of the seal of
Yeah.
bilinguality, and we wanted to share this
It's
with
very,
you. It's not
very,
necessarily
very
part of my evaluation,
competent
but it is a success.
school
You
leadership,
can see that
as
we
far
have
as I can tell.
successfully over time
And I'm
Yeah.
smarter
provided
than
the
almost
seal of
everyone on
biliteracy
school
for
committee
more and more youth.
right now.
Right,
This school
right,
year,
yeah.
276 in total.
Like me,
I'm
like
like-
kind of like the
17
smartest
language
guy.
languages tested.
This shit
I'll
is
say that
might as well
that
be
ceremony
calculus to me
is
because I
just
never
so
took
special,
calculus.
and it's not it's special because you see the passion.
And I don't
of
even,
the
frankly, I
educators at
don't.
the school. They're
You know,
so
many
incredibly
people are
proud
saying
of
that
the
calculus
work
doesn't
that they're
even
doing with the youth.
exist.
The
right?
children are so
Right, that's
proud of
true.
the languages that they
I mean, many
speak.
people
Some
are
of them
saying
getting seals in more than one language.
yeah.
It's just a wonderful
Oh,
you
this
have
might
experience.
you have
And so we're
unreal
very, very
numbers. Yeah.
pleased. I mean, look at that.
Try
56
looking at
with
my
the seal
Twitch
of
stream
distinction.
if you want to see some
That's-
unreal
that's
numbers.
wonderful. God bless you. So this is just an extra.
You
growing
have you
impact
you want
of the
unreal
schools.
numbers? Subscribe to Worcester Sucks.
Next slide, still related to the same student goal.
I get
are the
emails
artifacts. So go ahead and click on
artifact.
that. I'm just giving you
Ooh,
a picture
artifacts.
of this amazing dashboard.
Yeah, I
I
love
love an
archaeology.
artifact. I love it. I love an artifact.
When I started, actually, it wasn't. Dr. Andrade reminded me.
My class is
When I
artificer.
was interviewing
Shooting common,
the next
folks.
superintendent of Worcester Public Schools, I started
And you're
asking
saying
about
it.
data
And you're
literacy
saying
and
he
the
invented the cell
dashboards
phone.
and what we
And
have.
you're saying
And so to see this come to fruition now is
blew my mind.
it's just wonderful because I don't want
He had a
teachers,
curse. He had a
principals,
great,
they
great
don't need to spend
curse.
time trying to pull data together. They need to
One
be
of the most
quick
famous, one of the
because
best curses.
data comes together
God,
for them so they can do
only
something
I've ever
with
had a
it.
better.
And so Worcester has developed our own dashboard.
The late
And,
great Anang Tsunaman.
And the team presented at
Rest in peace
where
to
we're
Anang
looking at
Tsunaman.
campus, earlier
Cleopatra, let me tell
I
you,
guess
folks.
spring of this year.
What a 10.
And
What a
they
10.
were like the all-stars of this
The Romans
national
knew.
conference
The Romans
because
knew. What a
of
10.
it was a
What a
national
10, Cleopatra.
regional conference because of what they've been able to do. And so what this will provide for schools is, that 5% of children in third grade that it said they were slipping in reading, they'll be able to find out who those children are at their
They're
school
slipping.
and make a difference for them, not wait. They'll be able to find out what that
We lost
21%
Indiana
is.
Jones.
They'll be able to see is attendance and
Lost Indiana Jones to the
and
woke
the
mind
assessment,
virus.
are those two are there problems there?
Shia
They'll be
LaBeouf
able to
killed
him,
cross,
folks.
Shia
track
LaBeouf.
great data. It's a really good
Shia,
Killed
the
tool
great
Indiana
for a
Shia,
classroom
came up to
teacher,
me,
for an instructional
tears in
coach,
his
for a
eyes, and he
principal
said,
at the district
"Sir,
level. So we're very grateful for
we
that.
lost Indiana
and
Jones
the tools
the
that
woke."
they not only developed this that's interactive and
The best curse.
customizable, but then they also
They
developed
say they've never seen a
what
curse like
you
I've
have
cursed.
access to, because I included that as my artifacts, the guidebooks on how to understand how to use this with videos
I
in it
watched
so that people can go
the,
back to it, because I don't know
I
how many
watched
times I would
the
have to have a
whole
video
night,
for it. And they have
from speech
additional
to RNC
templates. So
from like
we
8
have
o'clock
a
on.
robust data system
And it
in Worcester
was
Public Schools now, and we
it
have
was so righteous
just
gemstones.
amazing people behind the scenes making it happen.
The
Very
entire
happy with
thing.
that. Next
And
slide.
one thing I
So
gotta say, I gotta say
I
it
want
on
to
the
just
record.
give you a little.
I
I
gotta
know
say it.
it's long.
Alina Hubba.
Okay, good.
More like Alina Hubba Hubba.
Glimmers of what
She-
we're calling
she-
acceleration, because there's some good hope on the horizon. And I'm saying it's a
but
glimmer
apparently
because we don't have the official
Trump
data
was not
back
happy
from
with-
DESE.
with
So we don't know. We
his,
won't have that official
number one
data
large
until probably end of September. But we
Oh,
looked
no.
at
Walked
some
right out.
our
You
data
walked
points,
right out
and
with
we've got
your
some really good possibilities.
Lost.
So the next slide, Casey, is going to be a few
lost my
clicks.
case to
So
Manhattan.
I showed you
I'm
how
not
third
listening
graders
to
were
you.
doing. Now I want to show you how our our elementary schools are doing on reading performance. So go ahead and click there.
Well, he
You'll
definitely didn't
see,
pay her,
click
right?
one more time, that
We can all
our
agree on that. None of those lawyers are getting
first
paid.
and second
None of
grade
those lawyers
youth, the end of the year reading is
Especially now that every
dramatically
single case is
increased
gonna get
compared to where they were at the beginning of the year.
Because
Look at those
one
kindergartners.
judge just showed me
19% when they started.
and
They're
the
at
state court won't
52%.
say
And I saw it in classrooms. I saw children sitting there and reading with each other. It was the most amazing thing to watch. And it was towards the
It
end of the
doesn't
school
matter,
year.
'cause you know what?
That's
We're
just
all
not,
falling
you
out
don't
of the
typically
coconut
see
tree.
that in elementary classrooms and in a kindergarten classroom.
Well,
And you
it's
don't
living
see
in
the
the
amount of
context.
children that I saw.
In the context
So
of
that was very exciting. Dr. Morse was with me when we saw that. Look at the first grade students. Look at the second grade students. That's a huge improvement. That's the work of our teachers. That's the science of reading in practice.
Boy,
That's
Eoy.
using data to really inform and make a decision. I'm not going to talk about third grade because I already did.
Those are
Now
the
I'm
two
gonna
genders,
say,
boy and
We
Eoy.
should be looking at this too. Go ahead and click.
Right.
Uh-oh, look at our fourth graders, right?
Uh-oh.
Those babies were first
Don't
graders
threaten me
when
with a
we
good time.
were on virtual learning. They need some work.
Please.
We have a plan.
It's the fourth graders.
We will bring in a company. We're in conversation right now to provide some tutoring for these children. And if you click on fifth and sixth, go ahead and click again.
Hey,
We
why are
see
they-
an increase, but we don't see it like we do.
How
at
much
the younger
cheaper is it
grades,
to
right?
hire a
So
company to do
I
tutoring
always
than
like
to just
see the
keep
correct
jobs
trend, but when
that
we
have been
bring in
cut?
this
So
company,
this is
and we're
actually something that I
think
haven't
it's a
followed up
panacea,
on,
but
but
we need
like
some
Tracy Novick was
intervention. We
mad
can't
about
expect
this.
our classroom
We're like,
teachers to do everything. So we've got
they
to have
laid
some
off
additional supports.
tutors.
We have an
that
intervention that's already part
contracted
of the
with parties.
CKLA program, but we're going to identify which
I don't
children
know
are
enough
really
to-
struggling, and we're going to get them even more.
Yeah. On the face of it, I agree. It
Because we don't want
sucks.
those fifth and sixth graders to go into middle school and be struggling. So our
I
plan
guess
is
there's
to support
probably
them
a
there.
good
So
explanation
nice
for it.
glimmer
But
of hopes at the younger grades. We need to keep
doesn't
that
sound good to me.
momentum. Our first grade teachers
Yeah,
are going to have
so, like,
half their kids
on
coming in
Thursday,
reading. They've got to keep pushing them, right?
like,
Our
it's
second
the
grade
next
teachers, same thing, almost 60% of their class. That's a big
But-
difference.
Yeah.
So we need to keep
I just have-
moving the target and supporting them and moving things along. And, I just want to emphasize also, I just remembered, the committee took action last year and we put an instructional aid in every kindergarten classroom. That helps too, because we were able to do small group instruction. So there's a lot of resource
But also
allocation
there's
that
like,
makes a
are the
difference.
tutors
This is
like
a glimmer of hope,
employees?
and
Like,
it tells
there's
us
so-
where
there's so
interventions
many
need to be.
weird considerations.
Next slide. Go ahead and click. Now I'm going to ask you to twist your brain. Bink. Now we have to look at below,
Right.
like children who are performing below. So this is looking at our Dibbles data. You can see in Dibbles and kinder. Go ahead and click again. I apologize. And well below benchmark in kindergarten, 64% of our children were when they started. Now it's at 36%. I guess I should look at mine right here so I could see it. Yes, 36%. That's huge. We've had a huge decrease in the number of children that are well below benchmark. You can see it in first grade. You can see it in second grade. Again, that's what we want to see. That's the kind of trend you want to see as we move forward. I'm not going to talk about third grade. We've talked about that. Moving along the continuum, fourth grade, not as excited, right? I'm happy that we're starting to see less children. No, fourth grade is our issue. We know that. They were first graders. Fourth grade is our issue. So we need to do something.
We should
for
just
those
get rid of all the
graders.
fourth graders. Seems like
And then
that's the only
fifth
thing
and
holding
sixth
back
grade,
the public schools right now.
Worried a little bit
Yeah.
about my fifth
Gotta
graders.
eliminate fourth
They
graders.
were at the end of first grade, and then in second grade, end of first grade virtual, and then second grade virtual. And we can see that they're struggling with reading, right? So we've got some things, and again, we will be putting some interventions in place to further support them. We are in conversation right now with a company to support that. And that data dashboard that Dr. Andrade and his team developed
Wait, is
will
she
help us
saying
to
they've
identify
contracted with the
exactly which
CIA to
children those are.
eliminate fourth graders?
Same thing for our sixth grade. So fifth and sixth grade, we see slight
Who are these
decreases,
fourth
but
graders?
they're
The
not
socialist
monumental.
government
But you
in
can
South
see at the
America?
beginning, in the early years, we're making change. So we're happy to see that. The next slide goes into, and I know there's a lot
Who are
of
these
text
fourth
on here, and I'm
graders? Evo
almost done.
Morales?
Initially, when I brought the goal to the committee, I had talked about moving schools out of the lowest performing as based on DESI criteria. And then the committee reminded me, you won't have that data until October, so we can't use that to evaluate you. So we took that out as as an evaluation tool. But we did look at multiple pieces of data. So we have 18 schools.
One of my
right
favorite
now,
things about the recent
that
presidential
are
discourse has
on
been like
our
Trump being like,
that DESE identifies as needing the greatest
I don't like the
growth.
foreign wars.
And
I don't like them.
in
They're a
looking at multiple
disaster.
pieces
I don't
of
like
data
them. But
about those
also,
schools. So this current year's
Joe
data,
Biden,
last
such an
year's data,
embarrassment pulling us out
the
of
school year we just
Afghanistan.
ended. We've
Like,
got 12 out
any of those
18
decisions
schools
are made by a
who
president
show
at
improvement
all.
on
Right.
a variety of
Like, that's
student performance
the
indicators. So
CIA
that includes both
does all
reading and math benchmark performance.
And also,
and that's
the
using
commitment
STAR,
was made during Trump's presidency
growth,
to pull out of
chronic
Afghanistan.
absenteeism, and graduation.
True,
rates. So
yeah.
we're happy to see 12 of those 18.
It was a
schools making
disaster.
Some very nice progress. We
The
anticipate
Taliban
some
are
of those
selling
schools
our
might come
equipment.
off the list, but we won't know until DESE puts that list out. Of those 18 schools, 11 out of 18 have shown moderate to high growth. So that's a really nice piece, moderate to high, on both the STAR English Language Arts and math end of the year benchmarks. That is very much tightly correlated to how they'll do on MCAS. So again, we have some glimmers of hope. We think those 11 schools
You know what would be a good guess
may come off the
soon
list.
is there's
7
a
out of the 18 have shown moderate to
there's a
high
campaign
increase of
to get
students predicted
MCAS
to meet or exceed
off of graduation
expectations on
requirements.
MCAS
That's picking up
math.
some steam.
And
So,
6 out of the 18 show moderate
and
to
I know
high
some local people are
increased
working on
percentage
that.
of students
So
predicted to
that'd be a good
again
person
meet or
to have on
exceed
soon.
Yeah, that would rule.
expectations on MCAS language arts. So looking forward to getting that data. It's all predictive at this point. We don't know, but we wanted to see how our schools are progressing based off a variety of indicators, and we've got some movement. What would I attribute this to? Quite a few things. We've got curriculum maps at the district level that we've further revised and augmented. We've got our Q teams.
You guys know it's
that are
100
like
days till
Johnny on the
Halloween.
spot when schools need something. We've developed
Whoa.
additional high quality resource materials that
That
we
changes
purchase for
things
the
for me.
schools. And
Right?
then
Doesn't
it's
that
the
make you
work
think?
that our principals do with their teacher teams, with
Yeah.
the Q teams, and with the focus and
I
instructional coaches that is
was
constantly improving
overwashed
things for youth.
with a visible dread
So that ends
when my girlfriend was
all of the
like
data.
started
Next
talking about
slide,
fall
yes, I know.
scents.
I
right?
could have given you so
Like-
much more, but I did not.
She was like,
The
can
last
we go
goal
to
is the
Walmart
professional
and
goal.
like look
And
for
this
candles? I
goal
want to
is,
get some fall.
my participation in the new superintendent induction program, year 2, that I would have participated, I would complete it, and I would submit all the required projects required. And the required project was that of a strategic plan that was done in December of this last school year and board approved.
Just can't wait to watch QB
What I
Halloween.
also said I would provide as impact evidence for the committee
Yeah, we should watch
is
QB Halloween
a way
on the
to
screen.
monitor our key performance indicators
Oh,
so
that's
that we don't have
Just
a
get our
plan
channel
and
shut
then we're
down.
not
It'll be worth it.
monitoring how we're doing, and then 5 years from now we have not achieved what we
I hate all these
promised the community
limitations.
that we would.
I know.
So
on our
the
artistic,
rubric alignment to that is the standard 4, professional culture, commitment to high standards, and shared vision.
On
The next
the last
slide
day
is
of
just a
this,
picture.
this show that I
Go
worked
ahead and
on,
click of the strategic
I just
plan. I gave
started
you a
going
link
around telling
in the
people
document I provided to you
that
this afternoon.
if
of our
anybody hears
strategic
about
plan. I
QB
know it's not
Halloween
new to
2
any of you, but just to remember
starting
that
up,
we
I
have
want to work
that.
on it.
It has a variety of promises to our community. It's based off of
Not
the
goodbye,
entry
not thank
plan
you for all your
themes
work.
that I
If
acquired.
you hear about
And then
QB2B, you better
we
send my
have
fucking name
developed
in.
a key performance indicator timeline. So if you'll click there, go ahead.
That's a
one more
one-track mind
time.
right there.
So we have this very robust
Yeah, my
way of
priorities.
tracking
No, Travis, it's
the
a
metrics
Netflix
of,
original.
what we say we're going to do. So we've got the strategic plan. In the strategic plan, we've got promises. And then we said, and on the promise, this is how you can measure us. Now we've got a way to track that. And then if you click again, and because Dr. Andrade and his team understand that communication is so important, he also created definitions for anyone who wants to follow along with this key performance indicators. So this indicator timeline.
Okay, so here's my thing about this.
Often we will be collecting the data.
I believe
and,
that this
and
is true,
using that information at the school level and at
but
the district level.
given the
And then
global
scale,
scale
presenting to you as I have done in the
of the
past.
pandemic,
through the
there's
report of the
absolutely no way
So the final slide,
to like
I think,
gauge
is
this.
to
If
me,
we all just got
is just
way
a
dumber
reminder
because of the
that,
pandemic, because we all got it.
often
Like,
want
let's
to
be
say
honest.
that success is just straight line.
And we're
you
just
put a
like
plan
straight up
in
dumber
place,
with no frame
so
of reference.
all works out. And we know
Yeah.
that that's just really
If
that's
it's
just not
across the
way it
board,
is, because
then
if it was, every district in the United
least
States would
it's
have
even.
100% of the children reading, writing, doing math, and everything at grade level.
I like this slide actually.
And
Bring it back to this.
and life would be very easy, right? And
Hey,
not
embrace
just
the
in
squiggle,
schools,
baby.
but everywhere else.
I embrace the
Instead,
squiggle
we
big
have
time
lots of ups and
because
downs.
I can't read or
And,
write.
in
So
the data
the
that I
squiggle is
shared
kind
and
of
the
all
work
I
that
have.
we've done this school year, we've got growth, and then there's still opportunities for improvement. But I am pleased with
This
the amount
entire
of work that's
presentation,
come
the only
out
things
of
that
the
have stuck out to
district,
me are Dibble and Squiggle.
and the overall
Which,
culture.
what I'm saying is, Camber, you're
and
right.
belief in what we can do, the reflection on when we don't
Oh,
meet
hey,
the
Bear.
target, being okay with that and growing from it. Because at the end of the day, next slide, it always
Look
comes
who's
down
here.
to them. It always comes down to the children that we serve. These are new
Simba.
graduates from Doherty High School.
I haven't had
And
COVID.
we have to
I
be,
still haven't had
as the adults, willing to ride that roller coaster of the squiggle and go with the ups and downs.
I mean, you've
and
definitely
not point
had,
fingers,
like,
because that doesn't help
Dude,
anybody.
I would
But instead say, all
test
right,
every time I get sick.
that didn't work.
I've never
What do we
tested
need to
positive
do
for
next
COVID.
time? Where did we miss the mark, and how do we get better about it? That's where Worcester Public Schools.
The one time I got
is
COVID really
going
bad
and
was
will
after I
continue
played that
to
Rocky Erickson
go,
gig at Ross.
under my leadership.
Oh,
I got
yeah.
it wicked bad. Got it so bad.
So those smiles.
I would just like to
Yeah,
point
do
out
you?
that the young woman all the way to the right,
Lots for you.
she was
to
their
process.
valedictorian for Doherty,
Apologize for
No,
the
there was a
length,
little-
but-
and her and Iris
To be
learned to
honest
ride a
with you,
motorcycle together.
Just want to thank you for
Oh,
your
wow.
information.
Like one motorcycle together at the same
No, they
time?
just took the
I think we
MSF course
discussed
together.
Probably when you started, like the demographics of things about students, and especially what I liked about this report, it shows the challenges ahead, and it's not hiding anything. And it shows.
I just
our
think it's important to
success.
point out that you can be
We wanna see better
really
success,
fucking smart
but it shows
and
that,
kind of badass at the same
seem to
time.
be we are going in the right direction.
Yeah, like
look,
me.
look at me.
Aha. Brian's
more work
3-second
out of
delay
this, because
helps
I know
me
I
out.
talked to you today,
I
as
get
you
to steal
said,
his
about
jokes.
demographics, typing, every demographic we have, whether it be gender.
I actually
demographic
think I'm getting smarter
that's coming into the city.
during COVID.
Even break down the immigrant.
I've gotten
populations
much
from
smarter.
countries, and every demographic.
Focused like a
we have
laser.
After Desi comes out, probably with their final, detailed information. But there was one thing I just quickly asked. I can't find the slide, but
He's named after Bill's favorite show, The Bear.
900 something. Is that in October? Is that what we had on October 1st? I thought
Dude, season 3 of The Bear stunk.
I
That was just
loved
a
it.
snapshot of that
You
particular
loved it?
day.
It's crazy,
won't take
but I
all that.
really
Dude,
loved it.
I
We should
thought
take that picture.
it
I'm just
felt like it
wondering if
was
the
written
immigrants-
by that
June.
guy in that movie,
Early
The
June.
Menu,
Yeah.
that brings the hooker on purpose.
But I mean, honestly,
right?
Mayor Petty,
Like
it's,
knowing he's
it's
going to die.
constantly.
I know people coming.
Yeah.
That's how
I
That was substantially less.
I did see a funny tweet today that
No.
said
No, we
No.
did the
the Bear season 3 was
1,000,
good, but they had more
200
footage than story,
around there. Yeah.
and that is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is so
Great.
funny.
I'd be curious why that's not.
I
Well, it
mean,
increases
like-
and then it decreases. So
Yeah.
we've watched it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
The-
this is funny questions. So
The
October
last
2nd
episode could have been
is
so
the date.
awesome, but they
You can
gave
give me
20
your
minutes of it to
evaluation.
just chefs talking
Oh, yeah.
about how food is.
Yeah. August
No.
2nd. And so I'd like to get
I was
that
a little
so we
frustrated by that.
I can have it ready for the, was it the 16th?
I liked it. I like it.
August 16th.
Yeah, it's like
for
I don't
the-
know. It's
for the public and
it's
the committee.
very different from the other
Like
seasons,
evaluation
and
together what we've done in the past.
even a dip in quality
Lot of
will
work.
seem
So I know sometimes you get delayed.
Yeah.
like it will seem major as compared to
So I understand that.
season 2.
Get the August 2nd. Just let me know.
I still enjoyed it.
We can work something out. I just
Season
need to
2
try
is
to
so
get some
good.
people
That was
in so I can
Yeah.
get going. So,
No, I still like
any
the
questions
show.
on Member Mailman?
But I thought it was a little
Thank you.
bit, they
Just
got a
a
little bit
couple
high
of,
on their own supply. A little.
Questions. I love this.
The other thing you got to consider
I
too,
love
they
this
made it on either
key
side of the
performance
strike.
Indicator timeline. That is
Oh,
really, we'll
true.
be looking
So
forward
they
to
started it and finished
seeing that.
and
Couple of
stopped
quick
and then
questions. When
finished
we
it
look
after the
at,
strike. So I'm
third
sure a
grade
lot of
reading,
things changed.
That's a good point.
And we see,
That's a good
what
point.
happens with slippage during the summer? I mean, does that bring us back to?
But
the
no,
starting
Bear
point
was not
again, or
named
is
after
it-
the bear.
Is there any kind of?
Bear was the name that came
consistent
to
thing
us.
We can look at to determine that?
And colloquially,
Chair.
his name is
Well, to your second part, is there something consistent to look at?
Mr.
They'll be
Meatball?
assessing using STAR again at the beginning of the
Or
school
the
year. We'll
overseer.
be assessing using DIBBLES. So there'll be some slippage, but it won't take us all the way back to the starting point, and then we catch them up. Teachers are very they know how to, they're adept at doing that. You
He's a
just
free range
weave
kitten now too.
the
He
previous
interacts with his
standards
big
into the new
sister.
instruction, and you keep going.
She beats the shit out of him
So
all
we'll
the
see a little
time.
bit, but it won't be.
He never
They won't
stops
revert back to
trying
where
to
they
play
were
with
at all.
Okay, thank you.
He's
I saw
got
some
heart.
community chatter this week too about
Just like
parents understanding where the kids are. Can you just address
get-
that
Jeremy
for a
Allen
moment?
White.
Because I don't think
I
they
can't
the
get
scores.
Oslo and Roman to like really like
Through the
get
chair,
into it.
to
You know,
Mailman, I saw some of that too.
They're
and so
like,
I started asking.
at best,
And
like
so we're going to
sort
figure
of
out. I don't
acquaintances.
even think I've asked Dr. Morris yet. I was speaking with Ms.
Well,
Fox
this
the
guy
other day,
is
and
so
I was like,
rambunctious that he just runs right up
what
to
do we
Gus.
do? So we'll look into it. We need some
And-
consistency, because what I
Yeah.
think I understand is
Then
some
Gus
get it,
hisses and
some don't.
swats
It may
him.
be based off of the principal. I'm
And
not
that's
sure
how
yet,
they
so we're
play.
going to look into that.
She gets mad. He keeps trying. I can
Brendan.
relate, you know?
Brendan, Gio wants to know, is the Wonder Bar still good post change in ownership?
Spent this.
Yeah, they didn't really
looking
change much
through
of
the
anything.
data.
Oh,
I
shit,
really
this is-
think that it's
Boring
really
time.
important to evaluate the superintendent on the completion of their goals. as
Notice how
stated.
there's no
So I'd like to address the goal
video.
regarding grade 3
She's on Zoom.
meeting performance and the
She's sitting
increase
on a
of
lawn
students
chair.
in grades 7 through 12 who self-report their measures.
Sounds sunburned.
So the first slide I want to
Tiki drink in hand.
report is the third grade reading performance. It's very difficult to analyze this data for impact, really when a lot of details are missing. So I have a couple of
You know, it's a
questions
fucking
on it.
DEI hire. This
Dr.
fucking
Montrose,
accent.
Can you explain?
There's no justification for ever allowing this accent into a professional fucking
between,
environment.
The STAR and DIBBLES,
He's such a
how
dirtbag.
students take them and how they're assessed.
Madam Superintendent.
Through the chair. So both of them are assessed digitally. And as I said, the difference between the STAR and the DIBBLES is STAR is basically looking at reading comprehension, vocabulary development. If you're in the younger grades, it's going to look at some decoding. And then the DIBBLES goes much more discreetly into the reading skills and based off of the science of reading. So the phonemic awareness, the phonics, which is a slew of different skills within phonics that I'm not going to go deeply into, but as you know, there are different ways that letters come together for phonemics, or for phonics. Then there is the vocabulary development, there is the reading comprehension, and then there is, I believe in DIBBLES, there is a spelling piece to it as well, or word recognition. It's word recognition. So DIBBLES is much more discrete and gets to the root needs of what a child would need in their reading growth, whereas STAR is much more, as I said, more about reading achievement and your ability to read overall.
So my understanding of it is also that DIBBLES is done with the teacher sitting down with the student at the beginning, middle, and end of the year.
She's so
and
abrasive.
recording on several skills.
I just got a good
that,
screen pull for
students are doing as far as reading goes.
What's this?
what Marine Banana looks like.
Compared to
talking
STARS,
Why do we have the hot
which
dog safari?
is a test.
Yep. It's too late. You
that,
missed it. Didn't order your shit.
You can compare yourself to students across the nation. Am I correct on that?
Madam Superintendent.
So DIBBLES is administered individually. I've seen teachers do it in classrooms many times. DIBBLES has a across the nation too, but we don't use it that way, but it's used throughout the nation in that manner. Member Beninda, what exactly are you looking for in terms of the?
Well, I guess the question is, I know in the goal, it states that we're going to be looking at STAR data, and it's the beginning and the end, was the end of 23 to the end of 24.
Marine Banana in her
So
superintendent
I'm
career.
looking at the data, what's being reported is DIBBLES is there, and it's not in the goal. So I'm wondering, why it was included in the evidence. And in looking at the third grade reading performance, and again, directly addressing the goal as stated, it was the end of 23 to the end of 24. So I look back at 22 because you provided that. Thank you. It was 46%. Now in 23, we're going down to 45%. And 24, we are decreasing 43%. So I did talk to Renaissance today. Renaissance is the people that we get our STAR data from on my own district STAR data, because I was interested in, is there another way of looking at STAR data that will actually give us more accurate
Star data.
on each of the students? And what they said to me today is that there's actually an SGP data that also comes out of STAR that will show individually for every single kid that takes the test. It shows how they're low achievement, high growth, high achievement, low growth, high achievement, low growth, low achievement. So I also was wondering, I mean, I know your goal was to look at year end for 23-24, which shows a decrease on third graders by 2%. Historically underserved, it also shows a decrease. It shows that in 23-24, it went from 46 to 43%, which is another 3% decrease. And I see that the percent of Black African American students at Dibbles only shows those above the benchmark. I was wondering why the other areas weren't shown. I think you only showed one end of year, because my understanding is that this is the first year that everybody is using Dibbles again. Is that correct?
Madam Superintendent.
Through the chair, yes, that's correct.
So that's why. But I was just curious, as you're showing Dibbles, even though it's not in the goal, probably just to provide us more information to compare STAR to. Is that why we're looking at Dibbles also?
Dibbles is a very nice indicator of student growth, as I've shared.
Right, it just wasn't in
I don't know what
your goal,
Dibbles
so
is,
that's why
Bill.
I'm just wondering.
I've watched
about
this meeting
So now
twice.
we go on to historically underserved. We went from 23% to 29%, right? This is Hispanic students.
This
at
is
or above,
Marine trying to
and then,
out superintendent the
to
superintendent
30% on Hispanic
and
students.
failing, as
This is
happens pretty much every time she
that
tries.
was beginning of year, middle, and end. But if we look at the two end of year from 23 to 24, we have again a 3% decrease in students being at above the benchmark. When we go to historically underserved students for 23 to 24, there was a slight increase from 19 to 22% increase. And then the one about special needs, we had no growth at all, 21%. I'm just talking about the STAR data now. Then I'm looking at the one that is, again, Dibbles, and the one on decoding nonsense word fluency. I don't know if you knew that there's a lot of literature on that is actually questioning whether nonsense word fluency actually is a future indicator of reading. I'm not sure if you knew that or why that information is being provided.
Do you know this thing I know?
Through the chair, Member Benenda, you are welcome to evaluate me in the manner that you feel is appropriate. That is your choice as an individual committee member. I have provided the committee with the data to show that our children are reading more and reading at higher levels. If you choose to look at it in different ways, that's your purview as a committee member.
Jesus Christ.
With due respect to you, I'm going by your goal. Your goal was clearly stated that it was going to be an increase in third grade reading.
Not
And it doesn't show that by the data by STAR. And it does not show that by the data that you did provide.
Well, actually, you are correct that if we're going to compare from last year's children who are a different set of groups, children in third grade, to this year's, you're absolutely correct. However, when I look at the data and I see that the students started at a very low level and that we've increased that the way that we did on STAR, I would say that our children are reading better, and I have increased, not me personally, because I don't do that. The teachers do that. We provide the support and the structure to do that, but that has increased. So again, there's different ways to look at the data. Again, you are welcome to evaluate me based off of the language on the goal that the school committee approved at this school year, and you will be one of 9 who will be evaluating me.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure this out because I'm going just by your goal.
Arrested Development
The
narrator
goal that,
voice.
you
She was
talked
not
about
trying to figure
quadrants.
this
You
out.
said this was an example of one quadrant. Is that what you said?
Madam Superintendent.
No, that's not a quadrant. That is all third graders.
You said that again?
That's not a quadrant of school. I could see why that would be confusing.
I'm wrong as shit.
The
I'm a
matrix.
dumbass.
and
I can see why that'd be confusing because you're a fucking idiot.
That's all of our third graders, and looking at how they're doing, and 74%.
I can
of
see why
them
that would be
are,
confusing with somebody
as I
who
said,
is a lay person,
showing
right? But you used to be
substantial
superintendent,
growth
dog. Like
growth.
this should be.
So it's not a
obvious.
quadrant of schools.
I get what you're saying. So 45% are excelling and 29% are improving, but they could be improving from any level, right? They could be improving from low, very low.
Oh my God, no.
They're improving from what level?
They are improving from below or well below. So if you look at that slide, you can see if you go across low or
Well, you can't
below
see
or
because you're on
well
the beach.
below, 29 of those
The
youth
glare must be making it impossible.
are all the third graders.
So I would have.
I guess I'm stupid.
70% third graders are excelling or improving. Should probably say 45% are excelling and 29% are improving. I think to put it together in a sentence makes, when you first read it, at least when I first read it, without looking at the chart.
Well, that's because you're illiterate.
4%.
You know you're grasping
Were-
straws.
Read the chart. That's why it's there.
Almost on the
Get
same
into
level.
the syntax.
That was.
You're
I thought
grasping
that's.
straws.
I agree with you. You thought this slide was confusing. So did I. The other question I had.
Member Benenda, just to clarify, it's not and, it says or.
Yes. In the same sentence, it makes you think it's connected. That's all.
Nope.
So my other question is,
Grasping at fucking straws.
going
dude.
forward, right? Would you ever think, or have you ever thought about using the STAR SGP to show actually the growth, because you would get every student's growth, and it's a very reliable, STARS, because you're compared to students that took the test at the same time across the country. It would be a really great way to show student growth, and you can get that report right out of Renaissance. Did you ever think of that for a future goal on third grade reading?
Madam Superintendent.
Through the chair, I actually think that is what we use. Is that correct, Dr. Andrade? I've seen graphs on it before. SPG. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, would that be great? Would you be able to give us a copy of that? Because I know it comes right out of Renaissance.
That's what was
This is
provided,
this is so true. Menares has the best.
I don't think it's SP.
like,
It doesn't say
facial
SPG
expressions.
on it.
Well, just because it doesn't say it, well, it doesn't mean that's not the data we pulled. I'll find out.
Find out,
Linda.
thank you, and let me know on that. That's great. Let's see, my other question that I had from Panorama, which I really like Panorama, is what is statistically significant on those surveys for students in the middle and the high school? Is a 2% increase for middle schools and 2% for
Travis
high
a few minutes
schools
ago
on
shared
those
with us the
defined at
definition of
1%
dibbles
significantly
in our private chat.
statistically
Dynamic
significant.
indicators of
Say there's
early
been a
literacy
positive change.
skills.
Yes,
Dibbles.
it's actually 1%. That would be
Where's the B come from?
significant. That's both in the achievement data
That
as well as in the.
this is a measure of literacy, and they just
And
threw a
then my
random
last
uppercase B
question
into
for
the
you was on the
into the
FELS.
equation.
So on the FELS, did this include, were the kids that were student proficiency level 1 and 2 included on this too?
Any child who met the criteria for reclassification was included in there.
So I was just wondering, looking at this, I was wondering if the L tutors and the literacy tutors that you hired could have helped with the large number of students that were able to move up with reclassification, because both of those groups were cut in a budget. And I was wondering, what is there a plan so that you can continue to grow in this slide?
There's absolutely a plan, and that will be to continue to use the data, identify what the pieces are that an individual child.
There was no basic
to
in the
reclassify. It typically is
the one
one
that I
component,
got.
and then you hone in on that, you target it, and
Thanks, Travis, for making me look like a
build that
fucking
into your
idiot.
lessons, and then they reclassify.
That's what the internet served me.
Do that. Many
I look like an
of
idiot.
the tutor positions were vacant, so that's not what.
I've also been
led-
sitting here
we
trying
don't
to Google
believe
it and
that
can't
was what
find it,
was
so
led to this.
thanks,
It
Rich.
was a intentional focus that we started.
Wow, if only there was
in
some sort of like
October
reporter on
of
this
this
stream
school year, of this past school year.
that could like
looking
look
at
this up and
the
verify.
children who are on the cusp and providing
Nope.
for them
Can't
what is
think of
needed
any.
so that they can reclassify.
And then the last question is, were there any, do you know if there are
My
any
impulse the
FELs
entire time was, I don't even know
that
what
were
that
able
means.
to earn the seal of biliteracy?
Madam Superintendent?
Not off not off my cuff. I don't. I would anticipate that would be the case.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the large numbers, and
You hear something
I
like
know from the
Dibble, and you're a
past
person who plays close
that
attention,
not all schools participated
and
to
you
do this
barely
seal
care what it
or
means.
seal with
There's like a
distinction,
it's
and
just
I
a
was
certifiable
happy to
fact
see
that
the
none
large
of your
numbers
give a
that
fucking
are
shit.
growing here, because I think it's a unique recognition. They get, I don't know if everybody else knows, but on their diploma they have a special seal that says they got a seal by literacy, and in some cases they don't have to take world language when they go to college. So it's
I
a
see
good opportunity.
Elon Musk is backing
For
off
students,
his
and it also,
pledge to
I
donate
agree with you, it
$45 million
shows
a
that
month to Trump
in the Worcester
already.
public schools,
Oh,
we
you don't
value
say.
students speaking more than one language.
That's so funny.
God, what a
And
fucking.
that's the only thing that I have.
Okay,
Thank you.
Member being carrier?
He's gonna be a Kamala guy by like the end of.
Thank you. We did cover a great deal. Thank you for the information.
And for something like nightmares, like I loved her stance on like
when you
homeless.
talk about the
Right. I love that she
benchmarks,
kept
intervals, and
weed
the,
offenders in jail.
elementary reading
Right,
performance.
exactly, yeah. Because
When
Kamala's
we did
got
our
skeletons.
budget a few weeks back, which was
Let's not
less
talk
than
about her like she's a
2
good
months
candidate.
back. On page 13, it read
The
that
Area,
we
sponsored
got
by
a
Tommy
reduction of
Hilfiger.
25 literacy tutors, 14 MCAS tutor positions.
She's racist like
7
Tommy
ESL
Hilfiger.
tutors. That was gonna
Being
be a
Carrie is
savings
sponsored
of
by
800
Books
to
on Phonics
69,000.
because she's
So
just
we're
now
almost
learning
$7
the
million.
English language.
You mentioned this evening twice in your presentation, if not more than that, that there was a company you were looking at. So what is the plan to continue improving.
But this is legit
what,
a good question.
We're looking at for reading performance. And where is the company? What is the company? How much is it going to be costing us? And where is the money coming from? Because that funding was reduced, and we were told specifically that we didn't have that money, and we laid people off. But now we're looking at a new company for tutors.
Madam Superintendent.
Through the chair. So first of all, I want to be clear that the instruction always is the first step, right? The first strong instruction so that you don't have to have tutors, so you don't have to do this outside of the classroom. That's what we want first and foremost. So we've provided our teachers with that. We continue to train them. And when I go into classrooms, I see them with the resources that they needed in order to teach children how to read. So that continues, and that will continue into this next school year, especially as our teachers get more comfortable with the resources. At the beginning of this last school year, they had to hold many of them had to hold the teacher edition in their hands because they were just trying to figure out how to use them. As the year progressed, they got more comfortable with it, and they'll be even better next year. When it comes to the tutoring, there was additional funds that were provided, as you know, at the end of this school year at the last minute from our city. And so we had to put money aside to figure out what we were going to do, and we have budgeted accordingly. It is dramatically less than what it would cost if we had tutors, and we're going to be able to meet the needs of more children. We're not done with the contract, we're moving into the contract, and then whatever process we need to do to bring it forward for approval, that process will take place.
So where is the funding coming from?
Everyone say hi to Bear.
What up,
Mr. Allen, if
dude?
you could come forward and share, because we talked about this at the budget, was the additional funds from the city.
Hey, don't bite the microphone.
To the chair, and I think we also put this in the last what's happening information to the school.
Think
team
about
members.
Bryan Allen, how long he's been dealing with this.
What we did is we took the city's
Like,
$1
how does he
million,
keep-
used that to address some existing deficits, what we saw in McKinney-Vento and special education out of district tuition. And the balance of that we offset the city money to reduce some of our federal grant and school choice expenses that could be carried forward that can be used then for these services.
Okay.
So when we're looking, thank you. When we are looking at what we are able to accomplish, are we looking at a contract that's going to have a 1 year or 2 year, 3 year? Have we determined what that time frame is going to be?
Through the chair, we would only do a 1 year. We want to make sure that it is having an impact. We would not enter into a multi-year contract.
Okay, I make a motion that we receive intimate detail of how that is occurring due to the fact that this was a big piece of what we have looked at for success in the growth in our kids. And we want to ensure that if we're looking at benchmarks, where did we start and where did we finish? And also the cost obviously is a piece of that. So my motion would be that we receive details periodically in reference to how this is going to take place.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll get a report on that. Those in favor, both so ordered.
I think this is where Joe gives his comments.
Anybody else? So I just want to, I'll just say if nobody else has anything to say, is that I want to thank for the report. You know, this is probably the most detailed report we ever received in my career as the mayor. And I don't know who put it together, but there's a lot of work that was put into this.
Major shame.
And it's good to have debate and challenges. But I can see that the
This
city's
is
going
much
in the
better
right
than
direction. That
anything
would be
Maureen
part
ever
of my
did.
evaluation. And the data. I always learn the more data you provide, the more questions you get. But
That's why I don't provide
I think
any.
It's going in the right directions. I like that. And even though it's not in your goals, but it just shows another point of view on where we're coming from as a district. So look forward to the discussion. So look forward to August 2nd to receive all the evaluations, and we can move forward. So much appreciated. Okay. With that, I guess we can file that. And so motion is to file. Roll call.
Member Alvarez?
Yes. Member Biancaria?
Yes.
Member Benenda?
Yes.
Member Guardiola?
Yes.
Vice Chair
So there's
Johnson?
only
Yes.
one more
Member
moment from
Mailman?
this
Yes.
stream
Member McCullough?
that's
Member
worth.
Roy?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes. We have general business to review the facilities
There
naming
are
dedication.
Yes.
hey, can you relax? There are 2 orders at the end of the agenda from Maria Benenda that she goes off on the administration, and there's one administrator in particular that has a delightful response to that. So it's like probably 10 more minutes of bullshit that we should probably watch if you guys are ready for that now. But I don't know if you guys have any observations on the review of the self-evaluation versus Benenda's first criticizing another superintendent.
I mean, it's just so like transparent, you know.
Yeah.
She's so bad at this. It's crazy. It's so
like
obvious what she's doing.
She can't deal with the fact that she's worse and she's grasping at straws.
The part that bums me out is that it's not entirely clear that she realizes how stupid she is and sounds. And I
don't think she does.
At some point in time, that gets really frustrating for other people, right? Like I know there's other stuff involved as well, but like it makes me think of the head of the Secret Service just resigning, right? Like you spend a day getting berated by Marjorie Taylor Greene, and at the end of the day, you just kind of look in the mirror, like, you know what? Pension's not really worth it. I'm fucking out of here. And,
yeah, right.
I mean, you could make a logical defense for your actions and whatnot, but they're not going to understand that. So why bother? And that seems like where we're at here.
Yeah, I mean, like the real worry that I've had since this dynamic emerged was like, all right, this is obviously the best superintendent we've ever had, at least in recent memory. And if we lose her to Worcester bullshit, then like we've just shot ourselves in the foot wicked bad.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that it's good for us to follow this stuff and to also, like, in whatever way we can, make it clear that the majority of Worcester apologizes for Marine Benenda.
For our future mayor.
For our future mayor, Marine Benenda. Shit. Yeah. Like, we need to.
I mean, the more she does shit like this, like, I mean, how could you play that for anybody and then have them be like, yeah, that's great work. I respect her brain. Like,
right.
Hey, this is who I want in charge of my children.
Yeah. I mean, that's an important thing, is that I feel like she's exposed herself here in a way that she hadn't in any of her years as superintendent, as just being like completely like a bad faith, like dehumanizing monster. The trick of it is just getting that in front of most people who don't pay attention, which is definitely going to have to be the goal before the next election cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good way to segue into this next bit of bullshit, because she's even more on one here than she is during the superintendent review. Actually, let me pull up the agenda first to contextualize this a little bit. Because it's kind of like the subject matter is like a legit conspiracy theory in a way that's kind of hard to articulate.
yeah, Camber, this is a good point, and which is crazy to do on vacation. You should be relaxed, you know?
Yeah.
Right. You're already making $400K. Like, just chill, right?
So here's a question, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Does she get to stack her vacations? Like, does she put in?
Ooh, good point.
Like multiple vacations, but like at the same time, so she's actually getting paid like 2 paid vacations from multiple districts. That would be genius.
I don't think that pensions come.
That's
with
right. No, you're right. There is no. Okay, I'll move on from my own conspiracy theory.
But I like where your head's at. Okay. So here is I'll throw the agenda in the chat. It's the last two items. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Neil's article with the travel stipend was great because she was on vacation at the time.
Great line.
And also, like, the school committee stipend is not insignificant. Like, it's like I remember there was some drama over like how much it should be, but like it's still like a pretty good chunk of change a year to be a school committee member. And that's on top of.
Is it 20 grand a year?
I think it's around there, yeah.
And then
Because it's less than city council.
City council is 30.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mayor is what?
A little bit more than that.
50, I think. Yeah.
And I mean, Joe is in no position to talk to anybody about no-show jobs because, like, come on.
Right. You know what? I want to be mayor.
So these are the two things that we're about to see here. Provide a report that outlines the plan for the supervision and operation of the transition program due to the departure of the department head. And then to provide a report explaining the external jobs list that is posted on schoolspring.com and how these positions are being funded. Both of these are super bad faith, as we will quickly see. So let's get to it.
Member Biancaria?
The School Spring one in particular is crazy.
Member
It's like,
Benenda?
it's like checking
Member
Indeed
Guardiola?
versus
Vice Chair
the
Johnson?
school budget.
Yes.
Member Mailman?
Yes.
Member McCullough?
Yes.
Member Roy?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes. Provide a report that outlines the plan for supervision and operation of the transition program due to the departure of the department head.
And also,
Thanks to
transition
everybody.
program her daughter
I-
works in?
Counselor, Vice Chair Jermaine Johnson has his hands full sometimes. These type of orders, I wonder, they're crossing the lines into the administration versus our responsibility, but.
So rule it out of order,
Answer
Joe.
These questions,
right?
Mr.
Like,
Member Benenda.
you can rule the
Yeah, this is a big one that does need to be answered. The person that was the department head working in the building that was very aware of all those young adults that are over there has taken on a position of head of the collaborative in Marlborough. And I've received, and I don't know if any other school committee member has, but I received another letter today from a staff member there that said they're afraid to go back to work because they feel there's nobody there that's going to be able to coordinate the program for over 90 young adults. And so I'm very concerned. The letter that came today
Is
was
that your
also
daughter who
concerned,
said
of
that?
course, about the physical
By letter, do you mean text from your daughter?
physical school there at Fanning. Included
daughter's afraid to
copy
return to
of
work.
the fire
Maybe you should
station
get a new
report
job,
that
bro.
came in about safety.
Maybe you should hire her at one of your other
kids on the
6
first
fucking
floor,
jobs.
on the third floor. It gave me a copy of what the inspector for fire said to them in order to keep it safe there. So in the past, we were looking for another spot for those young adults, and now we don't have a coordinator. And we have received some letters from parents. So I'm very
Parents?
concerned. I know I brought this up before when we did the budget, that we need a coordinator there. I'm probably the only one on school committee has worked with those young adults, and I know that some of them are fragile with their health issues. You really, before something happens over there, we really need to have a coordinator. So I brought it up now. I know it's a finance
Complete fear-mongering.
issue because you have to pay for a person to do it. So
What is
that's
this
why it's under our
cadence she's speaking
jurisdiction,
in?
because it's a finance issue. But we're all responsible for the safety of all our students, and we get safety reports. We
Reports.
also should have somebody there as a coordinator going in, because there are 93, I think that's the last number that we got from the superintendent, young adults there. So that's why it's there. School's going to start up again in August. Staff are fearful to go back to work. We owe it to the staff and the kids to find the funding for
And the
a
kids,
position
complete
to
that.
coordinate that program.
Madam Superintendent.
Member Johnson has a question first.
Oh, Member Johnson, I'm here to see your hand up. Member Johnson.
Yeah, no problem. I just have a motion to file this.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion to file.
He doesn't even explain why. It's so sick.
Hi, yes, I just want to, I just want to reach out and say through the chair that I have to agree. I'm very concerned.
Damn,
and we
dude.
all
Stevie Nicks
received
looks
the
like
email
shit.
From a gentleman, this is
I'm sorry,
concerning
that
about
was
the
cool.
safety for staff and students. And I hope we can come to figure out some way that our teachers, our students will feel safe in going back to the program. And again, find money to find a supervisor for the building.
Bill has quit the
Thank you.
show.
Sure. Thank you.
We do,
That was
you
Thank you, Mr.
rejoin the
Mayor.
show.
I just feel
I
that
just
this
didn't
is
want
the
to.
purview of the superintendent,
Yeah, that wasn't
not
cool.
the school
But
committee. I mean, we all want safety, but I think that there's going to be a plan in place for something. But why are we as school committee members overseeing something that the superintendent should be doing?
That's a good point. That's what I was trying to make. Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, hang on a second, Member being carrier.
As school committee members, we are responsible for what occurs in Worcester Public Schools. We work with the superintendent. There's that bridge we talked about earlier today, which I totally agree with, and how you described what we do. So the bottom line is, whether it's
Are you
transition
responsible
program,
for the
North
pedophile
High,
that
Shaun
Raymond hired?
Elementary, we're responsible. We bite the bullet for that.
Currently indicted
We
child
also are
rapist?
looking at a transition program. These kids, these scholars are very, very vulnerable. Whether we have a department head there or not isn't what I'm looking at. I just want to make sure we have a plan that is going to be successful, as it has been in years past. So I look forward to the information. But no matter how you look at this, and no matter how you feel as though why you're a school committee member, yes, it has to do with the budget. Yes, it has to do with safety. It has to do with accountability. And that's all what we're responsible for. It's not just to sit and say,
Sorry,
okay, we don't need to know about
Bill's
it because
comment
it
made me
doesn't
fearful.
involve 500 kids, or it's not in our district.
Listen, it wasn't
It's all part of
cool,
what we do.
but I felt like I
And
was kind of
the superintendent, we had this discussion during budget. If we go further with the plan and how it's going to work, I certainly look forward to it with your information. Thank you.
Member McCullough?
Thank you. I would just ask through the chair, the superintendent had provided us previous information about how this was going to look for this coming year. Is that something she can actually, through the chair, I don't know if it's possible, but to speak to tonight, just to reiterate what the plan is for the program before we take any of the votes on the motions at hand?
Yep, I think she was planning on doing that, but Madam Superintendent?
Like,
Vice Chair Johnson?
for context,
Yes, thank you.
this meeting could have
To the
ended
chair,
like right
in
here.
regards to this,
And all of
Yeah.
this
I
is just
agree,
dealing with
in
Marine's
regards to
bullshit.
this being a superintendent
Oh, wait, shit.
obligation to do. She's in charge of running the day-to-day operations of the school. Again, this is a matter that could be easily resolved with a phone call to the superintendent to have that discussion, which I did. Which
Could
I
have been
think
an
should
email?
speak to kind of what the plan is moving forward. We wouldn't need to have this
I
discussion.
mean, it's such a
if there
good
was phone calls just made.
This goes to city
and
council,
conversations
too.
had with the
Because this has been
superintendent
a phone.
around some of these
Why
day-to-day
is it
operations
order on the floor?
of what's
Mhm.
going on in the district. And then after that, if the answer isn't satisfactory or there's any other concerns that may need to be brought to the floor, then items should be raised at that time. But that was my recommendation, that there should be a phone call to the superintendent to have that discussion on what the plan is moving forward.
Sure,
Thank you.
Madam Superintendent?
Through the chair. So just recently, we received the resignation of the department head that was, that had been since last January, overseeing the transition program when the coordinator had gone out on leave. That person just resigned just recently. And so when I came back from vacation, I learned the person had resigned. We have an existing coordinator that that has the necessary licensure. that we have offered the position to. They will be placed there. Budgetarily, it is the same money that already was budgeted out of the department head. So we planned on giving an update to the committee during the FOG governance meetings that we have that Mr. Allen provides periodically. But
Wow.
financially, it's the same
Sounds like
money
a
that was
complete
already
non-issue.
put aside for the department head. We're going
wonder
to
where
repurpose
this will
it. We
go.
already have a job description.
Sounds
for
like a
this
complete
position,
non-issue that could have been
and we have
settled by a
person that
fucking
has
phone
the
call.
actual license to do that. This all happened within
I wonder why
a
she
couple
didn't
of
do
days.
a phone call.
What I
trying to
would
drag
want
the
to
new
say is just for
superintendent
clarity
over
in
the
terms of the purview.
Stupid
The
bullshit
purview
doesn't
of
exist.
the
They should
the
put
committee
together a
is to
special
allocate the
subcommittee
funds. The funds
made
have
up
been
of Maureen,
allocated.
Diana,
They
and
were
Kathy
allocated
Roy, and have
through
them
the
meet
budget
weekly down at
and
the Stop and
department
Shop at
chair
Lincoln Plaza
existed. It has been
until they get to the bottom of
the,
this.
the management
Good
of
idea.
it, and as things are
You
constantly
know, better
shifting,
yet,
and they
it's the
do,
same honeydew
especially
donuts that
before
all the
school
landlords
starts,
meet up with
how the
to
funds
talk
get
about the
spent
rental registry. How about that?
are is under, because they've already been approved. It's my responsibility to make sure that the thing that how it's happening moves forward. So
It's so crazy hearing
there's
this response
distinction,
and then hearing the way that
and as I
Maureen
said, a dance.
characterized it. They're like kids
would
are in
have
danger
very easily answered the question
because
had it come to me.
there's no
And not,
coordinator
it
of
didn't need
this
to wait
like
until it was on a
In the middle of the summer.
I mean, I'm happy to do that for anybody, but
So
there would be no way that I would open up a school year and not have oversight at a very important program. I too ran a special education department. I understand the complexities and the importance of transition programs. These are youth that are staying with us from 18 until they turn 22, and we want to give them as much
That's right.
opportunity as possible.
That's all
to be
Monterey has to
independent
do
as they
usually.
go
Just
out
go,
into the world, and
hey,
that is
listen,
the purpose
I'm
of
the
a
superintendent.
transition program. So,
I don't know what's going on.
just like any other program, when there is a vacancy,
And the
position
order
will be
after
flown.
this
In this
is
particular
even
case,
worse.
we did
but
not
if
fly
you're
the
saying
position right
that
away
we're in this-
because,
which is,
well,
it
first
just
of all,
gets
there wasn't
stupider
even
and
enough
stupider.
time. This just happened. But secondly, because we had somebody in-house that we could offer the position to, and we have since done that, and they accepted it today.
Okay, so we have a motion to file
Oh.
roll call.
Mayor, I have another question on that.
Sure.
So is the superintendent saying that the person coming in with the money that has been saved, that the person's salary coming in will be getting the salary of the department head rather than a coordinator?
Are you fucking with my towny jobs
Through
cartel?
the chair, no, what I'm saying is that we are going to repurpose those funds for the coordinator and bring to the committee, as we do in the quarterly reports, any changes in budgetary adjustments.
Okay, so you're saying, just so I get it right, that there'll be a
never
coordinator
gonna- That could
take all night.
now.
You're not
a
trying to get it
department
right.
head
Please,
for
you're
the
not trying to get
transition
it.
program. Is that what you're saying?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So the motion is to file, and this is, I think, where you cross these lines that we're almost micromanaging the superintendent. And this doesn't mean we can't ask the question, but to actually getting down and tell her what to do, and that's her job. So the motion is to file. Roll call.
Member
Thanks, Joe.
Alvarez.
Real profile and fucking
Yes.
courage, bro.
Member Vicaria,
No.
Member Benenda,
No.
Member Guardiola,
Yes.
Vice Chair Johnson,
Yes.
Member Mailman,
Yes.
Member McCullough,
Yes.
Member Roy,
No.
I mean,
Mayor
thank you,
Payne.
Camber, for saying so. It's like
Next item is to provide a report.
it's the exact same shit as like these MAGA fuckheads who are doing like being like To Kill a Mockingbird shouldn't be in schools. But on like a
So
level of
the
policy
day
that's
after
hard to
we
articulate.
voted in the budget, the very next day, it was posted
This is a
that
complete
5 bus
conspiracy
driver
theory.
positions got hired. And then on Monday, following that Thursday, a list of 101 open positions in the Worcester Public Schools were posted externally. And the reason I put the item on is that I have asked this question of twice of a cabinet member who has not responded to me.
Oh, I can't wait for you guys to hear this.
With the explanation that fit the question. So I'm putting it here for a reason. So on that list were jobs.
Not a good reason. It's a bad reason. but
That
it's
we
a
had
reason.
to cut. So for example, on a budget book, it says that the Assistant Director of Technology will not be filled for 1 year. On that list was the assistant director of technology. On our list we cut a full team out of Worcester East Middle, sadly. On that list was the full team back on again. So my question is, and I'm thrilled if we found all this extra money for all those positions, some that have been cut, biology jobs at some places cut, people moved, and then the biology position at that same school was on that list. So I'm confused, and it is in our perusal because it's a budget issue, and nobody
not
wanted to answer the
confused, you're
question.
wrong.
They just said to me, "Oh, that's just the normal bid list." No, it wasn't. 101 jobs that were cut, many of them cut on Thursday.
She's comparing the
on Monday,
budget
an external list for school spring.
to
So my question is,
like
did we
an
find money for all
advertisement
those 101 jobs,
website
or
for
what was
teachers.
that was posted? Thank you.
Dr. Q.
So through the chair, I do apologize that I did take a vacation earlier this summer. I will try not to do that again. I'm kidding. I will plan on taking another one. But in all honesty, we knew this year that we were going to a really difficult budget year. There was a lot of positions that we held
badass.
from.
Can we
had
get her
3
name?
transfer
We
lists,
need her in a
one in
t-shirt.
November, one in
She's
February, one in May.
that's
So any positions that were not bid successfully
I have her
on,
name. It's
we
Q
held
is
those
her last
positions
name. I
to be
can't remember the
posted
full name
in the
right now.
summer, so that we
She's like the
could
HR
ensure that all of
superintendent,
professional status
assistant
teachers
superintendent.
had positions. So we knew that going in. we
Just
knew that
kidding.
these positions
Psych.
were for
I'm
the
taking another
year,
one.
But there were no positions posted that was not already approved through the budget.
Okay, I think that was explained during the budget too. I think you're going to be moving
So,
positions around. But go ahead, Member Beneda.
so through the chair, let's just take one, the assistant director of technology. It said will not be filled for 1 year. Why was that on the list?
Through the chair, that position was not filled. It was actually the position of assistant director for ed tech. It's a bit different position.
Oh, okay.
And how about the 4 positions at Worcester East Middle?
Like, how do you
They
eat
were
shit
cut.
so
That
hard
team was
every
cut.
time?
Now you're saying that that team is back on?
Again, through the chair, every position that we posted were previously approved. We did not add any new positions that were not approved through the budget.
So I guess my question is, though, they were cut by the Thursday decision. So how do we add them on Monday when they were cut? I understand they were previous positions approved before the budget cuts. We weren't adding any
100%
new
does
ones,
not.
but why did the ones that were cut get posted
Miss
again? That's the question that no one seems to want to answer.
Dr. Q.
Through the chair, it's really difficult. It's really, everything is moving very quickly. We had resignations, we had retirements coming in. So things are moving at a very fast pace at this time. I cannot tell you exactly, but I can tell you that we did not put any positions that had not been previously approved.
Madam Superintendent.
Through the chair to Dr. Koo, maybe for clarity, or maybe this would help. Are there additional positions being placed at Worcester East Middle School?
Through the chair, not that I am aware of at this moment.
So potentially, if there are vacancies, it's because not only the positions that we cut, but additional teachers may have left for other schools, or they may have left for other districts, and therefore we're flying those positions, and they are flying both
Doing a little bit of
externally,
political
but
theater
it's
for a
also, we
fucking
have
child.
encouraged
Yeah.
internal applicants to apply as well.
Through the chair, that is correct. And if you remember, I believe I shared what's happening a while back, the timeline that I shared with all the principals as to when we were doing the internal transfer list and we were doing the external transfer list. I don't recall exactly when those, I know what the dates were, but I can't recall the coincidence to the budget meetings. I have to tell you the truth, but I do know that I did share all of those dates with the school committee a while back as to when we were floating. I think June 7th was when we were floating some open positions. We were posting all the last transfer lists and we're waiting for the 2 weeks, an additional 2 weeks for principal to actually interview.
Like,
as
Good
we do with
thing
contract
the mayor
before we
can't
can
do
even
anything,
post them
as Joe Petty
externally.
has proven for
And
the last
so
20 years.
perhaps Member Benenda, maybe
That's
it's
true.
different than when
But
you were
I
the
also think that we
superintendent.
need to start
We use
organizing
school
around the
springs
fact
for
that this is a
any
foregone
opening. We
conclusion.
don't have a differentiated.
It's like, if you don't want this
internal
person to be
where we
mayor,
post just internally,
you
and
have
then
to get
we
organized.
use School
right?
Springs for external. We use it as our database, if you will, or our base to capture all
And
of
like,
the personnel.
it
and
stinks to think
so
about having to do that
perhaps that's why
soon.
it might
But, like,
look like we are
kinda
flying new
is.
positions, but that is not the case. Anything that we're flying, it has already been approved through the budget process.
Okay, so through the chair, I just want to make sure that I don't get misquoted. If we have money
Voted
to
on
fund
what?
those positions, I would be ecstatic because I, again, don't think we should have cut any teacher positions. However, the union contract, an example, for example, a science position was cut from a high school. That person had a transfer to another high school. Now the position is listed again. At the high school they left because the position was cut. Now the union contract did
And
not
RFK
let you
Jr.
transfer back to
said he died.
position because once
And
you
now,
chose a position, you're stuck.
he's
there for
behind
2
Trump
years.
when
You're
Trump's
not
getting
able
shot.
to bid again. So the science
Riddle me that.
position at the school where the person had to leave, they didn't want to leave their school, so they asked me this question. That position was cut. We cut that on a Thursday. That position was advertised as open again on a Monday. Those people had already agreed. That girl had already decided she had to go to another school.
I mean,
so
this
is
is
now
absolutely
that
right,
position
Kim, but this is
open
a
and she can request to go back
flagrant,
because she
like,
moved from a school she
violation of
didn't
what the
want to
school
go
committee
to
should be
because we
doing.
cut that
Getting into
position and now that
individual
position is listed
personnel
again.
shit like this.
Through the chair,
And the
a
fact that
very
it's
difficult and
in
complex
pursuit of a
question
grand
to answer
conspiracy
because
theory
there's so many factors.
makes
So
it
was
even
the
worse.
teacher non-professional status that we had non-renewed through the budget cut?
No, professional.
So if the teacher is a professional status teacher, I've
dickhead.
talked to many of them along with the union to say, as a professional status teacher, I shared here that we did not riff any teachers at all. And we started by saying there's all these positions that are open. You're free to apply. We will make all those connections. But at some point, we do owe your positions, so we're giving some time to folks to make decisions as to where they wanted to go. Now, as to
You're
why
so
in
right
that
about this
particular
right here.
example,
Like,
why
the
the
mayor
science
should have
position was
ruled
open
it
again,
out
I
of
could not
order.
answer that. It could be that someone resigned. It could be that some
But
principals
the
had
reason why he
shifted some
probably
folks.
didn't rule it out of
But also, I
order
want
is
to
this.
remind the committee that this year, we actually gave out non-renewal letters as of June 1st, as we promised, which is a full 2 weeks before that we had to give it. So we couldn't have put out positions that week because we didn't put out positions until much later. So I'm not sure. But again, I don't want to get into personnel and specific questions because it's too very complex at this moment.
Okay, so we get the answers.
So it's still as clear as
What's
mud,
that?
but thank you for your explanation. I
Okay.
said it's still not clear, but I guess that's as good as it's getting. Thank you. You can you can file that item.
Okay, we're going to follow this, and this is again, we're crossing the lines here a little bit in the operation of the schools, and I understand the broader picture is explain the budget process and how this is done. I get that question, but to get down to talk on individual cases is not, I think, appropriate here. But we'll file the item. Roll call.
Member Alvarez.
Yes.
Member Biancaria.
Yes.
Member Benenda.
Yes.
Member Guardiola.
Yes.
Vice Chair Johnson.
Yes.
Member Mailman.
Yes.
Member McCullough.
Yes.
Member Roy. Yes. Mayor Petty.
Yes. Okay, so we have a motion to adjourn, I think. Yep.
I hope.
All set. Roll call.
Member Alvarez.
Yes.
Member Biancaria.
Right. So skipping a
Member
couple.
Benenda.
Yeah.
Member Guardiola.
Yes.
Vice Chair Johnson.
Yes.
Member Mailman.
Yes.
Member McCullough.
Yes.
Member Roy. Yes. Mayor Petty.
Yes.
All right.
No.
So skipping like maybe a half hour. Hold on. Shit. Did you guys hear that?
No, it was only
I'd-
it was
I'd
playing
like
in
to-
your background. Yeah.
Yeah. So skipping like maybe like a half hour of the meeting. That was most of the meeting on Thursday.
Yeah.
And I just think that it was important to show because the contrast between like the incredibly professional report that Superintendent Naros gave and the way that Pinenda followed that up with all of these bad faith questions. And then at the end of it, two complete conspiracy theories that everyone was like, this is way out of line for a school committee member.
Right.
And it kind of shows like the real contrast and competence that we're dealing with.
And if you have that question to ask to the superintendent, as somebody that maybe has a little more like influence than a teacher, of like, okay, my job was cut, so I transferred to another school, but now there's a job available at my previous school. Can I go back to it? That's a perfectly reasonable question to ask the superintendent.
Sure. Like an adult.
But when you bring it to this forum, in this way, it's very clear that you are trying to score points as opposed to actually fix the problem.
Right.
You don't give a shit about helping that teacher.
Yeah. And then you get so deep into the weeds, you like pull back this veneer of vagary once you like get like parried enough times that you have to get actually specific about this like one person that tipped you off to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That like instead of just taking a loss, you put that person on fucking blast with the HR director who is sitting in front of you.
Right.
Like severely compromising their career prospects for you to just look right. And the mayor has to step in and be like, we don't fucking comment on individual personnel matters. It's just crazy because you were following a conspiracy theory the entire time. School spring listings are not the budget. And the HR director was very clear that like we didn't put out listings for any previously, unbudgeted positions. So she literally lit one of her own people up for the benefit of like trying to get a gotcha on the superintendent.
Right.
Crazy shit, man.
And managed to sound like a complete moron while doing so. I mean, this is keeps
Yeah,
going back to where,
exactly.
like, I don't know where my place in this timeline is anymore, where like a sizable percentage of the population can hear that and say, see, she got her. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? It's the same category of people that look at an 80-year-old dude with a hole in his ear and say, that's a fucking tough man right there.
Yeah, right.
Kidding
We have
me?
the strongest guys. Yeah.
I just don't know. I don't understand what anyone's seen anymore. It's like the very concept of objective reality has just been packed into a cannon and fired into the moon.
Yeah.
No, that's fake.
Wrong.
The moon has not been ever impacted.
Listen. Dr. Rachel Menard, she was never hired as superintendent. Marie Miranda is still.
She actually.
Marie Miranda is still the rightful superintendent.
She's the
and we are going to storm. We are going to storm.
Yeah.
Whatever the address is of that building.
It was
downtown.
illegal to hire Rachel anyways. So.
Yeah.
Maureen
you can't hire someone.
Maureen is now superintendent of 12 districts. Okay.
She's the superintendent of Worcester County.
She's the commandant.
I would love if you guys could start that conspiracy theory, and then we just end up with a half a dozen elderly people with walkers trapped in a new vestibule.
It'd be so sick.
Like Jimmy Cash.
That was one.
The mop trying to push him
I'm
back
glad
up.
you picked that up, Brendan, because that was one of the craziest things about her entire report is that we didn't have like I don't know what the word is for it, like vestibules that you can go through one door but not the other. Like we did not have that up until she implemented that very basic safety structure improvement. We were like, no, we need cops in every building.
Well, I mean, but this is that I believe that was in response to the demand that Maureen made last year as one of her goals was making sure there were locks on all the doors. But like that's the galaxy brain mentality that you're dealing with is like they were going to go down to, the local locksmith to get a bunch of new quick set, change the deadbolts, new superintendent, got to change all the keys, not actually have something that makes sense from a security perspective, like a visible entryway where
And
somebody could have a cool off period.
That's the same stupid, like dumbass bullshit of people who shouldn't have power where Mo Bergman is like, many of us, myself included, on the council, we've talked about this revolutionary idea, which might not be so revolutionary, speed humps right? Like he's like, that's how we're going to reduce traffic safety. Like traffic violence is with speed humps and just everything he's been told by the city traffic engineers over the past year and a half about how Mill Street is traffic calming and what traffic calming means and like the infrastructure improvements that go into making streets safer is just lost on him.
Right.
And he's just like, the way that we do it is we add speed humps on Belmont Street that are going to careen people either into A, Bell Pond, or B, Green Hill Park at speeds we've never seen before. like crashed fucking pod racers, right?
Fucking Sebulba going flying off.
Yeah, dude.
Into Belmont Vegetarian.
Oh my god, I'm so happy we had our first Sebulba reference on this program.
No, I'm only going here because you brought it up. But yesterday I was leaving my house and I ended up behind Mo in traffic coming into Tatnick Square. He was leaving the bank. I goes the car right behind him. 2 observations driving behind Councilor Mo Bergman. 1, he does not use his directional. Mo, you made a left-hand fucking turn. Your directional wasn't on.
Wow.
2, this is actually, I think, something really interesting because it's one of those things I pay a lot of attention to while driving. Most of our roads are pretty wide. We now all fucking know this because of Kelly Square or Mill Street. Sorry. Mo's one of the right-hand. He drives on the right-hand side of the road. And that always fucking weird. My dad used to do that. It used to drive me nuts when like person's almost hugging the curb. It's like, in my mind, like if I'm leaning my arm out the window and I'm not banging into your mirror coming the other direction, like I'm not close enough to the left, right? Like if I'm going to hit something,
Oh, he leans right.
if I'm going to hit something, I want it to be another car. I don't want it to be a person, a bike, or any of the number of things that are going to be on the right-hand side.
Right.
Mo's a right-hand side driver. That's why Mill Street is terrifying to him. He's not comfortable driving at speed towards oncoming traffic.
Right.
So he wants to be on the soft side of the road. And Mill Street is now objectively terrifying to him because now there's cars on that side too.
Right. And
so he's a soft little baby.
Yeah.
Hey, look.
And he, just for the record, he drives the big duck from Batman Returns.
Yes, he drives a big duck from Batman Returns with a Mo Bergman sticker on the back. Can't miss it.
Yeah, you can't.
Him in that fucking plane from his his campaign materials.
Oh yeah. I mean, investigate that.
Yeah.
That is my favorite part of every winter, though, Bill, when the Boston news crews come in and just park at the top of Belmont Street. Just because you're guaranteed to have at least one Buick just go fucking launching off Belmont Hill in the middle of a snowstorm. Add speed bumps into that. And it's going to be like the Dukes of Hazzard toy that I had as a kid, where that car made it one day before it went launched through a window and never saw it again.
Game over. Mo Bergman's SUV is going to go into like the kids' cancer ward of UMass Memorial. And it's just like going to be the biggest story in this spot.
That abandoned biotech building that just never.
Oh yeah, true.
He's just gonna fucking take it out like me in Fortnite.
Dude, someone's gonna catch air and just like demolish, like they threw a shockwave grenade at that pedestrian bridge that's right by the school over there. Just like, yeah.
Oh man.
But anyway, guys, I have a special video to show you guys. That I've been working on all night.
I'm really excited to see this.
Yeah. We really have to watch it. Okay. This looks yeah, this will work.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road.
We're getting demonetized for this song, by the way, so I'm going to talk over parts of it.
Yeah, I know.
Hell yeah.
So make the best of this test and don't ask why.
Clean pull.
Yeah,
What a clean pull.
Whoa, over 400 gigabytes of leaked records
Wow.
at ddosSecrets.com/articles/Patriot. That's crazy.
Interesting. Huh. I guess somebody should probably check that out. I wonder if there's any reporters on this stream. Oh, Ben White. Perfect. Ben?
Hey,
Hey,
look at
Ben.
that.
Ben, do you need some co-hosts tomorrow? Can we come be on the radio?
We'll bring coffee and donuts.
Dude,
Yeah.
I will literally show up at 5 a.m. or whatever when you start.
Yeah,
And-
whatever he wants, I'll be there.
And none of us will ever say a word to Hank. He'll have no idea.
And we'll play along. We won't ruin the show. We'll play along. We'll say whatever you want us to say.
Shit, dude. I'll just say I'm Marine Biendo.
Yeah.
Right? I'll just do an accent.
Oh, pa.
One of us on for a segment is radically downsized.
We do
vision.
not accept that. No, we
From our vision for what
we do
this
not
is.
accept that. No, all of us, and we want the whole show. So okay, back to us with your counter offer.
Whole show or no show?
Yeah.
Whole show or no show, baby.
That's what radio needs, Wild Benny. That's what we're getting at here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
think of all the excitement that could come from us being on the show.
All right, Ben. We'll continue.
I'll do
continue
4.
this.
I do this fucking show every week. We're at 316 right now.
We do 4 hours easy. 4 hours is an easy night for us.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get 5. Sometimes we get 6.
Listen, if you don't let all of us come on the show and be on the show the whole time, then I promise I'm starting a radio show against you, and I'm going to defeat you. And I'm sorry. I hate to do it. I love you so much, but I will do it. I will start a competing radio show, and that's your choice. It's yours. You decide.
I mean, you have to give me buttons to push too.
Yeah.
Sounds
Travis
an
gets a
awful
hit
lot
buttons.
like, you got Putin breathing down your neck. Are you going to join NATO?
Yeah, with his new haircut and lack of beard, I'm not sure Travis is actually old enough to be on the show anymore.
Guys, my mom's gonna come pick me up in like 30 minutes. Can we wrap this up soon?
Yeah. All right, so it's decided. Ben said his fate is sealed. We will be on the show tomorrow morning.
What time should we be there, Ben?
Yeah, let us know.
Like in
we
the
can
chat
bring
right
microphones. We'll bring extra microphones.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'll bring a headset mic so I can pace around.
Yeah, and we'll bring Bill's spitting bucket in case he gets too upset.
That's right. I do like to have a nice spittoon. Are guns okay in the studio too?
Is there
Sometimes
a metal detector?
I like to have it on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use it.
No, of course not. No. It's
unless
like,
Yeah. Well, so tune in tomorrow to see if we show up on the radio. All right,
Sick.
let's talk.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'll text you after. Yeah.
Yeah.
All jokes
Thank
aside,
you
that's
everybody
pretty
for tuning in tonight. As always, we hate Mario.
I can't read chats and I'm mad about it.
Dater. And yeah, we got all tons of stuff coming up. We got the hot dog safari coming up on August
Hot Dog
17th.
Let's
If you
go.
didn't order your t-shirt, I'm sorry. You can no longer pre-order your t-shirts, but you can come to the hot dog safari. We'll have plenty of t-shirts available there on August 17th. Also, the night before, we will be doing our live show. We're doing the Sorta Late show combined with Hot Dog at Off the Rails on August 16th. There will be merch for sale that night. So come on down. If you check out our Eventbrite, there's tickets available. No, not on Eventbrite. If you check out our Instagram profile, Woot and Andy Comedy, you'll get a link for tickets at that, but Off the Rails is where that's going to be. So follow us there. Make sure that you are subscribed to Bill Shainer's newsletter, Worcester Sucks, and I love it. BillShainer.substack.com, WorcesterSucks.email. Follow at Worcester_sucks. And I'm assuming that video is going to go up on Instagram at some point. So if you want to
Probably
replay,
directly after this.
get the link to follow. Subscribe to our Twitch so we can fund us going on the radio tomorrow. We need the damn money. Also follow Neil McNamara. I just want to throw that out there he
he's
does
been doing
political
great.
witchcraft. And he's a great writer and a great friend. Of the
I
show.
hate that.
I felt bad making that one, but it's funny.
Buy a t-shirt from us. We got a new t-shirt up in the store. Travis designed a brand new t-shirt. Go to wct3k.storeenvy.com to see the Worcester map shirt. It's very cool. All the neighborhoods represented there. I think I didn't see any misses, so you won't get any angry. I don't think we'll get any angry emails.
I was waiting for someone to check me. Like, I thought I did well, but I never really know.
I think you did good. But we'll double check it. So get your shirt there. They're great shirts. They they do a good job. And when's the next No Jerks event, Trav?
It's this Thursday. At the
Yeah.
Rose Group in Webster, Massachusetts. Hope to see y'all there.
Hell yeah. I'm at Brucha headlining at Ralph's on August 2nd. Come to this show. It's going to be an incredible show. He's honestly one of the best comedians in the country, one of the best we've had. We love him, and it's going to be great. So get your tickets to that. That's on our Eventbrite. You can get your tickets there. That's coming up on August 2nd. All right. We got another 3 weeks until the next city council meeting.
Yeah, who knows?
So we'll let you know what we're going to be doing in the meantime, but we'll have some stuff up here on the stream. So make sure you're followed at WCT3000 on Instagram. And yeah, everybody, we'll see you next Tuesday. We love you. Good night.